Chapter 604. As soon as the silver-haired giant gave the order, he immediately raised the ancient jade in the sky and performed hand seals with all his might to unlock the power of the ancient jade. Ningfan glanced at it and narrowed his eyes. It was a piece of 5-colored ancient jade. It was an incomplete piece of broken jade. He could not tell what kind of material it was made of. It looked very old and there were some cracks on it. This ancient jade did not have the chi of a magic treasure. On the surface it looked like an ordinary item. It did not look like a magic treasure. However, as the silver-haired giant performed hand seals, the ancient jade gradually emitted an extremely terrifying and strange chi. Sometimes, it was as cold as ice. Sometimes, it was as hot as fire. Sometimes, it was as hard as wood. Sometimes, it was as heavy as earth. Sometimes, it was as sharp as gold. The chi changed rapidly and the 5 elements gradually merged into one. At this moment, Ningfan felt a sense of danger from the ancient jade. Even though it had been tens of thousands of years, the ancient jade still gave Ningfan a strong sense of danger. Something was sealed inside the ancient jade. It was something extremely dangerous. Shrieked at Whitebone Nieli and Nine-Headed Nieli attacked him from both sides. Each of them launched their attacks at Ningfan. After the first attack, the 2 beasts immediately fled far away. After accumulating power, they launched another attack. Of course, the 2 beasts could not hurt Ningfan and the Evil Li. Their goal was just to delay Ningfan for 10 breaths of time, so that the silver-haired giant could unlock the ancient jade. The 2 beasts had the cultivation bases of the 3rd and 4th destruction realm. Even though they were not a match for the Evil Li, they could still delay him for 10 breaths of time if they put up a desperate fight. Even though I don't know what exactly is sealed inside the ancient jade, I can't let Wan Chongkong unlock it since it can give me a sense of danger. The demon star in Ningfan's left eye flashed. A trace of ancestral Fu Li bloodline aura force spread across the entire void space. It was the aura force of 4 drops of ancestral Fu Li blood. Under such a level of aura force, Whitebone Evil Li and Nine-Headed Evil Li panicked and did not know what to do. Their chi was being suppressed. Their demon power seemed to have been sealed, weakening rapidly. Whitebone Evil Li's chi dropped from the 3rd destruction realm to the absolute void realm. Nine-Headed Evil Li's chi also dropped from the 4th destruction realm to the 1st destruction realm. Even the depths of the 2 beasts' souls were trembling. Before this, they only knew that Ningfan was a Fu Li. However, they did not know that he was actually a Fu Li with ancestral blood. The royal blood Fu Li could control the Sin Seal and easily kill any Sin Li. The ancestral blood of Fu Li could greatly weaken the cultivation of any Sin Li with just the pressure of its bloodline. This is ancestral blood demon blood pressure. Impossible. Liu Bei is actually an ancestral blood demon cultivator. What kind of demon blood is this? I've never heard of it before. It isn't any of the demon race that I know of, and it isn't even from the Xian Li clan, yet it can greatly reduce Xian Li's cultivation. Why? The silver-haired giant was greatly alarmed, but he fiercely bit the tip of his tongue and spat out blood essence in order to speed up the process of unsealing the ancient jade. Now the cultivation bases of the 2 life puppets had already weakened. Not to mention stopping Ningfan for 10 breaths, they could not even stop him for 1 breath. If he didn't have enough time to unseal the ancient jade and release the item sealed within it, he would certainly die in Ningfan's hands today. Not fast enough. The unsealing of the ancient jade was still not fast enough. The silver-haired giant ignited his mournful death blood. He did not hesitate to burn his demonic veins to speed up the unsealing of the ancient jade. 5 breaths, no 3 breaths. Just give me 3 breaths. 3 breaths. I will then be able to release the ancient mournful puppet string within this ancient mournful heavenly jade. Then, I can easily capture the 5 Xian Li puppets and turn the situation around. 3 breaths. Give me 3 breaths. Unfortunately, he was destined to not have 3 breaths of time to unseal the ancient jade. Ningfan would not even give him 2 breaths. At the moment when he released the ancestral blood pressure and weakened the cultivation bases of the 2 life puppets, the purple-eyed Xian Li had already received Ningfan's order. It immediately spread out black rays that covered the entire sky and turned the 2 Xian Li into ashes. 2 Sin Li beasts died. The former's cultivation was condensed into 8 sin fruits by the sin seal, while the latter's cultivation was condensed into 12 sin fruits by the sin seal. To Ningfan, who possessed the ancestral blood, each of the evil fruits was equivalent to a void fragmentation realm Dao fruit. However, Ningfan did not have the time to collect these evil fruits at all. Without any hesitation, he rode on the purple-eyed Xan Li and turned into a gust of demonic wind, dashing towards the silver-haired giant. Before the second breath arrived, he had already arrived in front of the silver-haired giant and launched an attack. The purple-eyed Xan Li flapped its wings and spread out black rays of light that covered the entire sky, sweeping towards the silver-haired giant. Even though the rays of light were as light as a feather, the silver-haired giant's sternum was immediately crushed. It was as if he had been hit by Mount Tai. His finger seals to unseal the ancient jade were forcefully stopped. The light of the ancient jade gradually dimmed and turned back into an ordinary broken piece of jade. Just like the 20 evil fruits, it floated in the boundless void space. Ningfan heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that the light of the ancient jade had dimmed. It would be best if he could stop the silver-haired giant from unsealing the ancient jade in time. The silver-haired giant stepped on the void space while holding his chest with one of his hands. He only managed to stabilize his body after retreating 10,000 li. The silver-haired giant showed a pained expression as he lost the ancient jade 10,000 li away. However, he gritted his teeth and directly gave up on picking up the ancient jade. With a flash of light, he fled in a hurry. "I've lost. This time I've been utterly defeated. I even lost the ancient jade. It is no longer possible for me to be a match for the purple-eyed Xian Li. I must run." Seeing that the silver-haired giant was about to turn around and flee, Ningfan patted his storage pouch and summoned the fire puppet with a wave of his hand, ordering it to pick up the ancient jade and all the evil fruits. As for himself, he rode the Xian Li and continued to chase after the silver-haired giant. Currently, the silver-haired giant had even ignited his mournful death devil veins. Thus, his speed of fleeing was extremely fast. It was not any slower than the purple-eyed Xian Li. However, as his devil veins gradually burned out, his speed gradually decreased. In the end, Ningfan caught up to him after he had fled for hundreds of millions of li. At this moment, the silver-haired giant was already on the verge of death. He stared at Ningfan, who was blocking his path, with an extremely resentful expression. "Liu Bei! Liu Bei! Liu Bei! Why do you want to kill me? You've gone too far. You've gone too far. If you didn't have the help of the broken 5 evil li, do you think I'll be afraid of a mere junior of the absolute void stage like you? You're just a useless person who assumes the might of a tiger. If I..." Before he could finish his words, Ningfan showed a mocking expression. With a flash of light, he rode the purple-eyed Xian Li and moved 100 li to the side. At the void space where Ningfan was originally standing, a massive door of light suddenly appeared. Countless mechanical war chariots flew out from the light door. The spirit crossbows inside the war chariots fired at the same time. Millions of spirit arrows were shot at Ningfan. Each of the spirit arrows was powerful enough to kill a gold core realm cultivator. Even a void fragmentation realm cultivator would die directly if they are careless when facing the joint attack of millions of spirit arrows. Even at this stage, the silver-haired giant's mind was still cunning. He still had the intention of launching a sneak attack on Ningfan. He purposely fled hundreds of millions of li away in order to launch a sneak attack when Ningfan was careless. Even when he was at the end of his rope, he was still unwilling to bow down and wait for his death. Unfortunately, Ningfan had his guard up against him. It was impossible for him to fall into his trap. It's really a pity that all these millions of spirit arrows missed their target. Aren't you going to run anymore? Or are you going to launch a sneak attack on me for the 3rd time? Ningfan's sneer carried a hint of mockery. Humph. I'm not going to run anymore. I'm going to perish together with you. 1,000 puppets appear. The body of the silver-haired giant's spiritual puppet suddenly shattered. He exited his giant form and turned into the appearance of a silver-haired elderly man. He was none other than Wan Changkong. Wan Changkong pointed his finger, and more than 40 light doors appeared in front of him out of nowhere. 20 to 30 void refinement realm spiritual puppets walked out of each light door. These spiritual puppets were different from the life puppets. All of them were death puppets, which were the most common spiritual puppets in the cultivation world. Some of them were refined from plants and wood, some were refined from spiritual ores, some were made from clay, some were made from ice, and some were made from human corpses. There were a total of 1,023 spiritual puppets in this place, and each of them was at the void inquiry stage. These 1023 spiritual puppets were the parts that made up Wan Changkong's body. Including Wan Changkong himself, there were 1,024 spiritual puppets in total. Other than the life puppet technique, Wan Changkong also inherited a magic technique from the ancient morning heavenly jade. It was called the Vajra body fusion technique. The main purpose of this technique was to let the cultivators of the morning death devil vein cultivate themselves into spiritual puppets. After that, they would refine a large number of death puppets. Through merging with the death puppets, they would obtain a powerful physical body that was far beyond their own cultivation realm. The reason why Wan Changkong's physical body could reach the fifth heavenly layer of the nirvana realm was because he had merged with the 1023 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. Now that he had unlocked the body fusion technique, he could naturally summon the 1023 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets to fight for him. Wan Changkong's eyes flashed with crazy killing intent. He performed a hand seal, and the void inquiry stage spiritual puppets immediately soared into the sky, surrounding Ning Fan. As soon as they got close to him, they immediately exploded. In just a few breaths, nearly 200 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets had already exploded. When nearly 200 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets exploded at the same time, the resulting shockwave was enough to kill Ning Fan instantly. She opened her mouth and swallowed all the shockwave of the explosion into her abdomen, afraid that Ning Fan would be hurt. However, he was unscathed. Ning Fan, on the other hand, was unscathed. Her internal organs, on the other hand, were injured from the inside out. If she did not protect Ning Fan, she would not be hurt. This was the first time she got hurt since she broke the seal. Her chi became a little chaotic. Haha. The 5 broken void inquiry stage spiritual puppets are nothing more than this. You are still hurt by the explosion of my spiritual puppets, aren't you? Wan Changkong became even more excited. I don't want them anymore. I can give up on these void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. I don't want any of them. Even though the spiritual puppets are precious, his life is more important. If he cannot escape from today's calamity, everything else would just be empty talk. I don't believe that even 1,000 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets can't kill all of you. Explode. 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 Wan Changkong laughed ferociously. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. Originally, he had a way to escape into the small kiliacosm and avoid the explosion of these spiritual puppets. She did not know that he had a way to protect himself. That was why she was willing to risk getting hurt to protect him. Ning Fan did not know what kind of motive she had that made her submit to him, listen to his orders and protect him. However, when he saw that she wanted to protect him even if it meant hurting herself, he found it hard to calm down. You should take a rest. This Wan Changkong is already an arrow at the end of its flight. I can kill him myself. Even if there are 10 times more void inquiry stage spiritual puppets, they will still pose no threat to me now. None of the spiritual puppets in the billions of worlds can take my life. All of you will become my prisoners. I will imprison your life with a single finger. Ning Fan, who was dressed in black robes, flashed and disappeared from the top of Nieli's head. When he reappeared, he was standing in front of the 800 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. His long hair danced wildly in the air. A pitch-black crescent moon slowly appeared in his left eye. At the moment when the crescent moon appeared, the connection between the 800 spiritual puppets and Wan Changkong was cut off. Each of the spiritual puppets stopped moving in the void space with blank expressions, not knowing what to do next. Then the mark of a black moon slowly appeared on the bodies of the spiritual puppets. At the moment when the mark of the black moon appeared, the 800 spiritual puppets instantly changed sides and became Ning Fan's void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. In the void space, the 800 spiritual puppets bowed to Ning Fan at the same time to show their allegiance. Black. Black Moon Divine Ability. This is the power of the Black Moon divine ability. With just a single divine ability, it can directly deprive me of the right to control the 800 Void Inquiry stage spiritual puppets. What a domineering magic technique. If you encounter the Black Moon, you will be destroyed if you go against it. If you encounter the Black Moon, you will be destroyed if you go against it. As a spiritual puppet master and a member of the Daowang clan, no one can go against the Black Moon. Wan Changkong looked at the scene in front of him as if he had gone mad. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. He had spent his entire life killing to obtain his current status, and that was how he refined these Void Inquiry stage spiritual puppets. However, in the blink of an eye, all of these spiritual puppets were taken away by Ning Fan. Why? At this moment, Wan Changkong released the body of giant venomous snake. His physical body was no longer as strong as before. At this moment, Wan Changkong only had the cultivation base of the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. However, he was severely injured and on the verge of death. Even so, he was unwilling to die here. He was unwilling. If you spare my life, I will be your puppet and your slave. I will help you kill the Vine Sovereign. With my Vajra body fusion technique, I can fuse thousands of puppets into my body. After that, my physical body will be comparable to a fifth heavenly layer Nirvana realm cultivator. Even the Vine Sovereign won't be my match. Wan Changkong begged for mercy. Ning Fan approached Wan Changkong step by step and said coldly, "No need. Even if I need a strong expert to be my slave, I won't look for you. It's because I don't believe you at all." Bang! Ning Fan's body suddenly shattered into traces of black shadows that drifted away. At the moment when his physical body shattered, a silver door of light appeared in the void space where he was just a moment ago. This time, 4 void fragmentation realm cannons shot out from the light door, trying to blast Ning Fan into pieces. Fortunately, Ning Fan dispersed his physical body in time, and managed to avoid this attack by a hair's breadth. This was Wan Changkong's third sneak attack. Even until the last moment, he would still bite back. Ning Fan must not be careless. Even if a restriction is planted on him and his memories are erased, he would still be a disaster. You won't have the chance to sneak attack me for the 4th time. You can die now. The black shadows condensed and Ning Fan appeared behind Wan Changkong. He raised his hand and a ray of golden sword light cut Wan Changkong's head into 2. The treacherous and ruthless Wan Changkong had truly fallen. The 13th trace of his spirit clone that he secretly cultivated tried to escape, but it was discovered by Ning Fan, who coldly searched his soul and memories. The moment Wan Changkong died, all the cultivators who were turned into puppets in the entire Eastern Tree Sea began to turn into ashes and dissipate. It was not just the Eastern Tree Sea. Even some cultivators in the other 3 great tree seas began to turn into ashes and dissipate. These people were also Wan Changkong's puppets. They were the spies that he had planted. If it wasn't for Ning Fan who killed Wan Changkong, these spies would probably never show up. After Ning Fan searched his soul, he breathed out devil flames and burned Wan Changkong's corpse into ashes. Only then did he confirm that he was dead. He took away Wan Changkong's storage pouch and the 800 spiritual puppets. Then he returned to the top of Niali's head and drove it back to find the Jihua puppet. Jihua had already followed Ning Fan's order, and found the ancient jade and the 20 evil fruits, and handed them to Ning Fan. In this battle, Ning Fan obtained a total of 27 evil fruits. To others, this fruit was a poisonous fruit that would cause them to suffer a backlash. To Ning Fan, however, it was a great supplement which was equivalent to a void fragmentation realm Dao fruit. Ning Fan kept the evil fruits and carefully studied the 5-colored ancient jade. The more he looked at it, the more shocked he became. From Wan Changkong's memories, Ning Fan learned that this 5-colored ancient jade was called the Morning Ancient Heavenly Jade. It could help cultivators open up the Morning Death Devil veins, and obtain a few secret techniques of the Morning Death clan. Among those secret techniques were the Life Puppet technique, and the Vajra Body Fusion technique. Inside this Morning Ancient Heavenly Jade, there was a thread that was sealed. It was a puppet thread. It was the life puppet thread that was once used by the Morning Ancestor. This thread possessed a great ability. With this thread, one could refine a puppet that was 1 level higher than him once. Ning Fan could not help but feel shocked. If he was a little slower in his actions, and allowed Wan Changkong to unseal this thread, he would probably directly refine himself into a puppet. If he was not forced into a dead end, Wan Changkong would not use this thread. Originally, he planned to use this thread to capture a rogue immortal as a puppet and roam the 9 worlds. Wan Changkong was a void realm cultivator. With this thread he could capture a rogue immortal as a puppet. Ning Fan was an absolute void realm cultivator. With this thread he could at least capture a 6th or 7th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator as a puppet. He could even try to capture an 8th heavenly layer cultivator. I wonder if I can use the puppet thread of the morning ancestor to refine a rogue immortal into a puppet. In the past, Ning Fan had been thinking about how to control a rogue immortal. However, he had never thought about refining a rogue immortal into a puppet. Now that he had obtained the puppet thread of the morning ancestor, he could change his train of thought. If he directly refines a rogue immortal into a puppet, it would be much easier and safer than using the devil subduing hoop to control it. This is feasible. However, for the sake of safety, I will try to use this thread to subdue the rogue immortal after making thorough preparations. Now, it's time to end the grudge between me and the Vine Sovereign. In Jishui City, each of the puppets that caused trouble turned into ashes and vanished. The chaos in the city ended just like that. Looking at Jishui City, which was gradually calming down, the Vine Sovereign was shocked. All the puppets have disappeared. What's going on? In Jishui City, the space was suddenly shattered. A black-robed young man stepped on the purple-eyed evil creature and flew out of the crack in the void, returning to the battlefield of Jishui City. At the moment when the purple-eyed evil creature reappeared, black rays of light immediately swept down from the sky. At this moment, there were already many cultivators of the Vine Palace who had rushed to the battlefield to provide reinforcements. However, as the black rays of light swept across, all of the cultivators of the Vine Palace were turned into ashes. The few remaining elders of the Vine Palace had either died in the hands of the 2 sovereigns, or were killed by the black rays of light. Now only a severely injured void fragmentation realm cultivator had survived. Liu Bei has returned. Wan Changkong must be dead. We've lost this battle. Old monster Tian Fei's expression was extremely gloomy. Retreat. The Vine Sovereign gritted her teeth and said. The 2 of them each took out a jade slip and crushed it. Immediately, a huge realm gate appeared behind them. Without any hesitation, the 2 of them leaped into their respective realm gates and escaped without a trace. The escaped jade slips of the 2 of them were actually the rain slips of the realm gate. The direction they were fleeing to was not the West Tree Sea, but the Heaven Immortal World. The location of the 3-world sect was exactly the Heaven Immortal World. After the defeat this time, all the experts of the Vine Palace were killed. The Vine Sovereign herself was also severely injured. Naturally, she did not dare to stay in the tree world to recuperate as she was afraid that Lu Haoyue would take revenge on her. Thus, she directly fled the tree world. Where do you think you're going? A void fragmentation realm cultivator of the Lu Palace was unwilling to let go of the Vine Sovereign, an old monster Tian Fei. Lu Haoyue wanted to stop that person, but it was already too late. Just as the void fragmentation realm cultivator of the Lu Palace stepped into the realm gate, a ray of purple light suddenly rose from the realm gate and swept across the void fragmentation realm cultivator of the Lu Palace. That void fragmentation realm old monster immediately let out a miserable shriek. He was directly turned into ashes by the purple light, the realm-breaking light. The other void fragmentation realm cultivators of the Lu Palace were shocked. The escaped jade slips of the Vine Sovereign and old monster Tian Fei actually had the realm-breaking light to protect the realm gate. With this light, anyone who enters the realm gate would be directly turned into ashes by the realm-breaking light. Pass my order. No one in the Lu Palace is allowed to enter the realm gate. Lu Haoyue sighed and closed his eyes. Damn it. I actually let Tinggunan escape. The Bamboo Sovereign was enraged. The injury of his broken arm became even more painful. With a slap of his palm, he killed the last void fragmentation realm cultivator of the Vine Palace who could not escape in time to vent the hatred in his heart. Ningfan stood on top of Nie Li's head in silence. Currently, his magic power had been exhausted and the purple-eyed Nie Li had also suffered some injuries. Let alone the fact that the realm-breaking light was blocking them from entering the realm gate. Even if they managed to chase after the Vine Sovereign, they might not have 100% chance of killing the Vine Sovereign. However, if he lets the Vine Sovereign go, she would certainly become a source of trouble. Ningfan pondered for a while. When he saw that there was only a faint layer of realm-breaking light outside the two realm gates, he immediately came up with an idea. He patted his storage pouch and took out 200 Void Inquiry Stage spiritual puppets. Then he performed a hand seal. Explode! The self-detonation of the 200 Void Inquiry Stage spiritual puppets immediately blasted a hole in the thin layer of realm-breaking light outside the realm gate. As soon as the hole appeared, Ningfan rode on Nie Li and rushed into one of the two realm gates. That realm gate was not the one that the heavenly birds used to escape from. Instead, it was the one that the Vine Sovereign used. The moment Ningfan rushed into the realm gate, the realm-breaking light outside the realm gate disappeared. Brother Lu has gone in? The Bamboo Sovereign found it hard to believe. Lu Haoyue answered casually. His eyes were filled with worry. He was worried about Ningfan's safety, and whether he could successfully kill the Vine Sovereign. In the past, he only admired Ningfan's Dao comprehension. Now he admired Ningfan's way of doing things even more. He did not want anything to happen to Ningfan. In the realm gate, the Vine Sovereign was flying towards the heaven immortal world with a gloomy expression. She would mutter to herself from time to time, "Liu Bei, you foiled my great plan, and forced me to flee from the tree world. I will remember this debt. The next time we meet will be the moment of your death." Is that so? We have already met again. I really want to see how you are going to kill me. Kill. Ningfan's eyes turned cold and he ordered Nie Li to use the black light to attack. The Vine Sovereign was already not a match for the purple-eyed girl Nie Li in the first place. Now that she was severely injured, how could she be a match for Ningfan and Nie Li? "Liu Bei, you can't kill me. You can't. If you let me go, the grudge between us will be written off. How about that?" "I don't believe you. If you kill me, the Three Realms sect will certainly not let you go. If I don't kill you, will the Three Realms sect let me go?" 3 days later, in the heaven immortal world, the Vine Sovereign's corpse suddenly fell from the sky and crashed into the entrance of the Three Realms sect. The entire sect was shocked. Old monster Tian Hao, who had just returned to the sect, was even more terrified. Someone actually chased him into the realm gate and killed the Vine Sovereign. Who was it? Fortunately, that person did not enter his realm gate. Otherwise, the one who died would not be the Vine Sovereign but him. It was so close. "Tian Hao, this sect master is asking you, who killed you?" A drawn-out voice suddenly sounded out from afar. He did not ask the Vine Sovereign but Du because to him, Du was more useful than the Vine Sovereign. Chapter 605. It took Ningfan 3 days to chase after the Vine Sovereign. Even though the Vine Sovereign was severely injured, she still managed to inflict serious injuries on Ningfan and Nie Li with her powerful divine abilities. When the Vine Sovereign tried to escape, she split her body into 10 rays of light and escaped. Ningfan killed them one by one, and spent a lot of effort to chase after them. 3 days later, Ningfan returned to the realm gate along the same path. The gate was already closed on his way here. Ningfan spent another half a month's time, and used the wind mist technique to create a gap in the world passage. Only then did he return to the Eastern Tree Sea. During this calamity, countless cultivators died in the Eastern Tree Sea. Other than the 10 million cultivators who were turned into living puppets, there were 60 to 70 million cultivators who died in the chaos. If Ningfan didn't kill Wan Chongkong in time, and turn all the living puppets into ashes, the number of casualties in the Eastern Tree Sea would be even higher. The vitality of both the Eastern Tree Bamboo Sea and the Western Tree Vine Sea were greatly damaged. Except for the Bamboo Sovereign, all the Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators of the Bamboo Palace died in this calamity. All the Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators of the Vine Palace, including the Vine Sovereign, died in the calamity. Even one of the Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators of the Lu Palace died in vain. More than half a month had passed. Jishui City that was destroyed by the war had already been rebuilt. Many cultivators of the Tree Clan in the city were wearing plain white robes, remembering their friends and relatives who had died in the calamity. Ningfan did not return to Jishui City with the Purple Eyes Nieli. The Purple Eyes Nieli was severely injured, and he kept her in his cauldron world to recuperate. Ningfan realized that she was actually a female. He returned to Jishui City alone in white robes. As soon as he entered the city, an elder of the Lu Palace who was at the first-level destruction realm immediately came out to welcome him. Elder Xiutan of the Lu Palace respectfully welcomes the Northern Tree Sovereign. The elder, whose name was Xiutan, cupped his fists at Ningfan respectfully. Northern Tree Sovereign? What do you mean? Ningfan was slightly stunned. He did not know when he had gotten this title. Seeing Ningfan's puzzled expression, Xiutan immediately explained. From the time Ningfan chased after the Vine Sovereign to the time he returned to the Tree World, it took him a total of 18 days. 3 days ago, Ningfan had already killed the Vine Sovereign. At the same time, the Vine Sovereign's life token in the Tree World shattered. The news of the Vine Sovereign's death spread like wildfire. The entire Tree World knew about the Vine Sovereign's death. The incident where Ningfan chased after the Vine Sovereign to enter the World Passage was witnessed by several tens of thousands of cultivators. Those who were observant could easily find out that the person who killed the Vine Sovereign was Ningfan. Ningfan's alias in the Tree World was Liu Bei. The title of Sovereign Northern Tree came from this name. Ever since Ningfan entered the World Passage, Lu Haoyue had been waiting outside the World Passage, worrying about Ningfan's safety. It was only until he received the news of the Vine Sovereign's death that he was convinced that Ningfan had successfully killed the Vine Sovereign, and that he would return to the Tree World in a few days. Hence, he didn't stay in the Eastern Forest Sea any longer. He left a few elders of the Willow Hall to guard the Eastern Forest Sea and brought the Bamboo Sovereign and his other subordinates to the Western Forest Sea to eliminate the Vine Sovereign's forces and take over the Vine Hall. Now that the Vine Sovereign was dead, the Vine Hall's countless inheritances naturally had to change owners. Lu Haoyue and the Bamboo Sovereign purposely left a voice transmission jade slip for Xiutan to pass to Ningfan. Ningfan immersed his spirit sense into the jade slip. The voices of the Bamboo and Lu Sovereigns were immediately transmitted into his sea of consciousness. If Brother Lu returns, please come to the Western Forest Sea as soon as possible. There are quite a lot of heavenly materials and earthly treasures in the Vine Hall. If it wasn't for Brother Lu's help, the two of us would certainly die in Tunggunnen's hands. The hundreds of generations of treasures of the Vine Hall should belong to Brother Lu. From now on, there will be no sovereign in the Western Forest Sea and no sovereign in the Northern Forest Sea. If Brother Lu is willing, you can be the sovereign of the Western and Northern Forest Seas from now on. Since Brother Lu's name has the word North in it, I will address you as Sovereign Northern Tree. What do you think? Ningfan finished reading the jade slip and kept it without saying a word. Xiutan still had some matters to attend to. After delivering the jade slip, he took his leave first. Ningfan entered the city alone. His mind was racing and he felt a little disappointed. When he first entered Jishui City, there were as many cultivators as the clouds in the city. There were endless cultivators coming and going on the long street. At this moment, most of the cultivators in Jishui City had fallen. There were only a few people on the long street. The atmosphere was different, but there were two completely different Dao rhymes. This is the Dao rhythm of life and death. Life and death. Once you break through life and death, you will be qualified to seek for the immortal path and achieve immortality. What is life and what is death? In the past, I only knew that before one's lifespan ends, life is life and death is death. But now it seems that this view is not correct. Immortals have no lifespan. Judging life and death by lifespan is obviously one-sided. Life and death, life and death. When there are so many people on the street, this street is alive. When there are no people, this street is dead. To the long street, death isn't the end of one's lifespan, but it's related to the endless pedestrians. I don't know what the true meaning of life and death is in this. During the great calamity of the Eastern Tree Sea this time, he had witnessed the life and death of countless people. Compared to the past when he personally killed people, the feeling he got was different. Thus he naturally had a new understanding of life and death. Comprehending the Tao of life and death was the key to becoming an immortal. It was not surprising that the current Ning Fan could not see through life and death. Comprehending the Tao of life and death was something that void fragmentation realm cultivators needed to consider. Ning Fan was just an absolute void stage cultivator. What he needed to comprehend right now was how to break the hollow space. His comprehension of the void gradually advanced from the void glimpse stage, void inquiry stage, void pierce stage and absolute void stage to the great perfection stage. However, after reaching the great perfection stage, he needed to break this circle and jump out of this void. Breaking the hollow space. Breaking the hollow space. There is nothing in the hollow space. How do I break it? How do I break the hollow space? Ning Fan sighed in disappointment. He was still quite a distance away from the void fragmentation realm. He had a feeling that the higher his cultivation base was, the more ignorant he felt. When he was at the vein opening realm, he obtained the first ring of inheritance of the heavenly Tao in the chaotic ancient land. Then, he thought that he was already above void fragmentation realm cultivators. Now that he recalled the past, he felt that he was a little too arrogant in the past. He slowly stopped walking. With a flick of his sleeve, a piece of white paper slowly appeared in his palm. There was no ink on his fingertip. When he drew on the white paper, he drew an ink-colored circle. The great Tao was like a piece of white paper while the cultivators were like circles on the paper. The smaller the circle, the fewer places the edges of the circle touched. The bigger the circle, the more places the edges of the circle touched. The lower one's cultivation base was, the shallower the Tao that one could see. The higher one's cultivation base was, the deeper the Tao that one could see and the more ignorant one would feel. Being able to understand one's ignorance was much more brilliant than thinking that one knew everything. Ning Fan looked at the circle on the paper. He knew that if he wants to break the void fragmentation realm, he would have to break that circle and that void. He pointed his finger, and the white paper turned into ashes and dissipated as if it had never existed before. Ning Fan looked at the ashes of the paper drifting away. He seemed to have comprehended something, but he could not fully comprehend it. He no longer pondered about these problems of Tao comprehension. Instead, he reflected on his trip to the tree world. This time, he had obtained quite a lot of benefits from entering the tree world. The day he attained the first grade rain intent was just around the corner. He had already cultivated the minor 5 elements physique. Besides, if he devours the ancestral bamboo, his wood element physique would probably reach perfection in one go. His cultivation base had already broken through to the absolute void stage. If he could empty the 100 generations of the vine hall's accumulations, and use the countless heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures to improve his cultivation base would certainly skyrocket once again. He had cultivated the royal ancient divine bloodline, and opened the first heart acupoint of the ancient god. His cultivation speed would certainly increase tremendously in the future. During his trip to the tree world this time, Ning Fan had also fulfilled Mu Luo's request by finding the members of the Ming Luo clan, and killing Wan Chongkong to avenge them. If he could bring the members of the Ming Luo clan and the remnant soul of the Yu Huang back to the Rain world, it would also be a good thing. During his trip to the tree world this time, Ning Fan had even subdued Nieli, who was at the 5th void fragmentation realm, and subdued 600 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. The number of heavenly tribulation puppets he had increased to 5. And he also had Ting Xianro, who was a void fragmentation realm helper. Currently, Ning Fan's combat power was probably much stronger than the entire Rain Palace. Not only that, after killing Wan Chongkong, he had also obtained the Morning Ancient Heavenly Jade, which had a puppet thread of the Morning Ancestor sealed in it. If he could refine the Rogue Devil into a living puppet with this puppet thread, he would have an 8th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm helper by his side. With my current wealth, it won't be difficult for me to fight against Moksha Sovereign. Once the 100 years period is up and the ancient heavenly court opens, Moksha Sovereign will definitely die. Entering the tree world this time, Ning Fan had obtained a great fortune, but he had also provoked a strong enemy. He had killed Du Yu and was punished by the Vine Palace. Now that the Vine Palace had been annihilated, the Three Realms sect which was behind the Vine Palace would certainly hate him. The sect master of the Three Realms sect is an old monster at the 8th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. If I can successfully control the rogue devil, I will be able to fight against him, and I won't have to fear the Three Realms sect anymore. If I can't, I won't be able to fight against the Three Realms sect. With my current absolute void stage cultivation base, the probability of refining the rogue devil into a living puppet is less than 50% even if I have the puppet thread of the morning ancestor. If my cultivation base can advance further and attain the primordial returning realm, the probability of subduing the rogue devil will be at least 90%. It's not difficult to attain the primordial returning realm. I won't stay in the tree world for long. I don't need the title of Northern Tree Sovereign, and I have never thought of ruling the Western Tree Sea and the Northern Tree Sea. However, I must take away the 100 generations of accumulation of the Vine Palace. With the 100 generations of accumulation of the Vine Palace, I will pave the path to the primordial returning realm for myself. After that, I will subdue the rogue devil in one fell swoop. By then, the Three Realms sect will no longer be a threat to me. Let's put the matter of the Three Realms sect aside for now. There are some troubles in the Rain world. As for the Devil world, I wonder what Moksha Sovereign will do after learning that I've killed the Vine Sovereign. Ning Fan sighed. From the moment he subdued the evil Li and appeared in the sky above Jishui, he was destined to not be able to continue hiding his identity in the tree world. The matter of subduing the evil Li was enough to make him famous in the 9 worlds, and attract the attention of all the void fragmentation realm experts in the world. Moreover, the matter of killing the Vine Sovereign could not be hidden from the cultivators in the world. The death of a divine sovereign of the 9 worlds was a major event. Even if the one who died was a divine sovereign of the 3 lower worlds, it would still attract the attention of many cultivators in the 9 worlds. Perhaps, the news of the Vine Sovereign's death had already spread across the entire 9 worlds. As for Ning Fan, the culprit who killed the Vine Sovereign, he must have already been exposed to the world. Some people who are observant might have already found out that Ning Fan was not Liu Bei but Marquis Whiterobe of the Rain World. If the Rain Sovereign of the Rain World finds out about Ning Fan's shocking battle achievements, what would he think? Would he be wary of Ning Fan and befriend him? Or would he hate Ning Fan out of jealousy and turn against him? The battle in the tree world this time was too huge. It had directly pushed Ning Fan to the peak of the storm. From today onwards, no one knew how many troubles would come one after another. Unknowingly, Ning Fan had already arrived outside the residence of the Fu Sang clan. He stopped in his tracks. With a flash of traveling light, he directly appeared in the main hall of the residence. The patriarch of the Fu Sang clan, Tang Xiong, was having a discussion with a few elders of the clan. Each of them wore a worried expression. As soon as they saw Ning Fan's sudden arrival, all of them immediately stood up to greet him. None of them dared to show any neglect. Ning Fan had killed the Vine Sovereign and Wan Chongkong. In the battle in Jishui this time, he had even killed countless void fragmentation realm experts. His name, North Tree Sovereign, had already spread across the tree world, and even to the other worlds. Even though Ning Fan was just an absolute void stage cultivator, in the eyes of the members of the Fu Sang clan, he was no different from a 5th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm divine sovereign. We, the members of the Fu Sang clan, greet North Tree Sovereign. May I know why North Tree Sovereign has come today? Tang Xiong said respectfully. I owe Senior Fu Sang a favor. The reason why I came here today is to send his ashes back. That's all. What? Old ancestors' ashes? Ace. Tang Xiong and the other members of the Fu Sang clan all wore sad and excited expressions. They were sad because they remembered the past of their old ancestor's death. They were excited because they had found his ashes so that his body would not be left to wander around outside. Ning Fan flicked his finger, and an exquisite jade box immediately appeared on the bamboo table in the middle of the hall. That jade box contained old demon Fu Sang's ashes. The ashes faintly emitted a trace of the old demon's qi. Old ancestor. Tang Xiong and the other elders had tears in their eyes. They knelt down and kowtowed to the jade box. Farewell. Ning Fan sighed softly and turned to leave. Since he had sent back old demon Fu Sang's ashes, he no longer owed the Fu Sang clan anything. Previously, he had agreed to help Tang Xiong take care of Tang Yuan, because Tang Xiong was very likely to die in this calamity. Today, due to his intervention, Tang Xiong did not die and the Fu Sang clan was not destroyed. Thus, he had no reason nor need to take Tang Yuan as his concubine. North Tree Sovereign, please wait. Tang Xiong wanted to stop Ning Fan, but Ning Fan walked further and further away. Soon he disappeared from their sight. Tang Xiong sighed softly. To be honest, now that he was still alive, he was reluctant to give his daughter to Ning Fan as his concubine. Ning Fan's refusal to take Tang Yuan as his concubine made him feel both happy and regretful. He was happy because he could choose another suitable Dao companion for his daughter. Regretful because he had lost the chance to form a marriage alliance with Ning Fan. To the declining Fu Sang clan, Ning Fan's reputation could be said to be a protective umbrella. Alright. Yuan heir, come out. Since you are not fated to be with the North Tree Sovereign, I will find another suitable Dao companion for you in the future. Tang Xiong said to the direction of the inner door of the hall. No. I don't want a Dao companion. I won't marry anyone. Behind the bead curtain of the inner door, a young lady in red robes stomped her feet angrily. Then she turned around and ran away. She was Tang Yuan, the little princess of the Fu Sang clan who had foolishly provoked Ning Fan time and time again. It was obviously a good thing that she did not need to be betrothed to Ning Fan by her father. She obviously hated Ning Fan and was unwilling to marry him. However, at this moment, when she secretly saw Ning Fan's back as he turned around and left, she suddenly felt a little sad. She had a feeling that Ning Fan would never return to the Fu Sang clan after he left this place. She had a feeling that the grudge between him and the Fu Sang clan had been settled. They would never meet again. They would miss each other. He never liked me. If I was more sensible in the past, would he not hate me so much? Tang Yuan sat in her room, her heart filled with suffocation. One day later, the Fu Sang clan buried the ashes of their old ancestor in the imperial tomb of Muyi country. This place had the cenotaphs of past bamboo sovereigns and void fragmentation realm experts. However, no one had ever buried the ashes of cultivators here. Tang Yuan knelt in front of old demon Fusang's grave. Her eyes turned into peaches from crying. After all the Fusang clansmen paid their respects, they walked out of the imperial mausoleum and waited outside. Only Tang Yuan was unwilling to leave. Old demon Fusang was her grandfather. He had always doted on her, so much so that she became unruly and willful. From now on, she would no longer be pampered by her grandfather. From now on, she needed to gradually learn to be sensible, learn not to be willful, and learn to bear the responsibility given to her by the family. At some point in time, a white-robed youth suddenly appeared in the imperial mausoleum. He appeared before old monster Fusang's grave. When Tang Yuan seemed to have sensed it, she turned around and saw the young man's face. She was immediately shocked and said angrily, "Do you want to die? Is it fun to scare people by hiding behind them? I've never heard of a nascent soul cultivator being scared to death. If Miss Glutinous Dumpling is scared to death by me, I'm afraid that it will become an interesting anecdote in the cultivation world. Enough to be recorded in history." Ning Fan teased. "Humph. Such a glib tongue. He's not a good person." Tang Yuan scolded in a low voice. Inwardly, she was secretly delighted. She didn't expect to see Ning Fan again. Oh, Miss Glutinous Dumpling still hasn't learned her lesson and dares to scold me. Aren't you afraid that I will throw you into the lair of a void refinement realm demon beast? Didant. Grandpa, my dear grandpa, let's talk this out. Don't use force. A gentleman uses his mouth instead of his fists. A great man will not bear a grudge against a lowly man. Please don't lower yourself to my level. Don't throw me into the lair of a demon beast. Tang Yuan instantly admitted defeat without any sense of integrity. Interesting. From today onwards, cultivate well and break through to the divine transformation realm and void refinement realm as soon as possible. The next time I come to the Eastern Tree Sea, I might really throw you into the lair of a void refinement realm ferocious beast. If you don't have a void refinement realm cultivation base, you won't have the ability to protect yourself. The corner of Ning Fan's mouth curved into a smile. Then he turned around and left. He realized that Tang Yuan was not completely useless. At least, she was a filial daughter. The word filial was not used by cultivators. Among the cultivators, there were only a few elders who knew how to be filial to their parents. Even though this lady was unruly, she was much stronger than many cultivators. At the very least, she was a human. She would descend the mountain to be a human, and ascend the mountain to be an immortal. To be able to do this, she would probably have a higher chance than many cultivators in the Tao of Immortality. Ning Fan left Jishui City and Muyi Country, and headed towards the Western Tree Sea at full speed. Tang Yuan looked at the traveling light that Ning Fan left in, and watched as it gradually disappeared into the horizon. She felt a little disappointed but also a little hopeful. He told me to cultivate diligently. He said that we will meet again, and he will throw me into the lair of a void refinement realm ferocious beast. All of a sudden, Tang Yuan felt that it was not a big deal to be thrown into the lair of a void refinement realm ferocious beast. At the very least, she would be able to meet him again, wouldn't she? All right. From today onwards, I will be a cultivator who practices hard cultivation. When we meet again, I will certainly make you look at me in a different light. Grandpa, you just wait and see. I won't let you down. Ning Fan traveled at full speed all the way from the Eastern Tree Sea to the Southern Tree Sea. Then he entered the Western Tree Sea from the Southern Tree Sea. When he arrived at the Western Tree Sea, it was already more than a month later. After another 7 days, he finally arrived at the Vine King city of the Western Tree Sea. Before he entered the city, Lu Haoyue had already come out to welcome him. Brother Lu, you're a little late. I have already finished inspecting the Vine King city 4 days ago. The accumulation of the Vine Palace for hundreds of generations is now stored in the heavenly dwelling of the inner palace of the Vine King Palace. Brother Lu, are you willing to go and have a look? As soon as Lu Haoyue finished speaking, his eyes suddenly turned cold. He transmitted his voice to Ning Fan. There are still 2 deacons of the 4 heavens in the Vine King Palace. They are in charge of investigating the death of the Vine Sovereign. They specifically said that they want to meet you. They might not come with good intentions. Be careful. Deacons of the 4 heavens. Ning Fan's eyes turned grim. It would be fine if they killed the divine sovereigns of the lower worlds discreetly and no one would care about it. If the cultivators of the lower worlds kill each other, no one would care about it if it did not involve the battle between the worlds. However, if the cultivators of a foreign world sneak into another world and kill the divine sovereigns of that world, the matter would not be settled without giving the deacons a valid reason. They would certainly be held accountable. Without the deacons of the lower worlds, wouldn't the experts of the 3 upper worlds be able to sneak into the lower worlds and kill the divine sovereigns of the lower worlds as they please? The deacons of the 4 heavens existed to patrol the lower worlds and maintain the stability of the lower worlds. Firstly, they would catch the cultivators who came to the lower worlds without permission. Secondly, they would prevent the strong worlds from bullying the weak worlds. The involvement of the 3 worlds sect in the dispute of the tree world was something that they needed to investigate. Similarly, Ning Fan killing the Vine Sovereign was also something that they needed to investigate. If the 2 deacons find out that Ning Fan was a cultivator of the Rain World, they would probably arrest Ning Fan with the law of the 4 heavens and punish him. A cultivator from the Rain World sneaking into the Tree World and killing the Vine Sovereign was undoubtedly a serious crime. Of course, if there was a special reason such as a grudge that would not end until one of them dies, Ning Fan might not need to be punished for killing the Vine Sovereign. Brother Lu, do you have the confidence to deal with these 2 deacons of the 4 heavens? If it is necessary, I will think of a way to settle this matter for you. Lu Haoyue transmitted his voice to Ning Fan. I have some confidence but not much. Ning Fan gently shook his head. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed and he looked at the Vine King Palace. He sensed an extremely familiar aura from the Vine King Palace. Currently, he knew one of the 2 deacons of the 4 heavens in the Vine King Palace. It's actually Senior Wei Xian. Wei Xian was Old Devil's brother. With Wei Xian's protection, perhaps there won't be any problems in committing this crime. However, I wonder if the other deacons of the 4 heavens is an enemy or a friend. Ning Fan said with a frown. Chapter 606. When Ning Fan sensed Wei Xian's qi, he felt slightly relieved. Wei Xian would definitely help him. With Wei Xian's mediation, killing the Vine Sovereign wouldn't cause any trouble in the higher domain. Since Brother Lu doesn't have the confidence to deal with the Four Heavens deacons, how about this? You leave the Vine King Palace first. I will settle the matters here, said Lu Haoyue righteously. Ning Fan smiled faintly. This Lu Haoyue is indeed a person worth befriending. There's no need for that. I'm quite confident in dealing with these four heavenly deacons now. Brother Lu, please lead the way to the Vine King Palace. All right. Lu Haoyue did not ask much. Both of them turned into rays of light and flew into the Vine King Palace in the city. In the main hall, the Bamboo Emperor sat on the main seat while two cultivators sat on the guest seats. They were the four heavenly deacons. One of them was an old man in black robes. His cultivation base was at the second heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. He was none other than Wei Xian, who had given Ning Fan the opportunity in the Star Palace in the past. Sensing Ning Fan's arrival, Wei Xian slowly opened his eyes. He looked at Ning Fan with a hint of disbelief, and then gave him a friendly smile. The other person was dressed in a fiery red Taoist robe. He was a handsome young man with a Taoist bun. His cultivation base was at the sixth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. The corner of the young man's lips curled into a faint smile. He played with the teacup in his hand and ignored the others. After sensing Ning Fan's arrival, the young man suddenly raised his head. Four fiery red stars lit up on his glabella. His eyes were like blazing flames as he stared at Ning Fan. You're Liu Bei, the one who killed the Vine Sovereign? The young man's tone was filled with anger. Yes. Ning Fan took half a step back. His heart was slightly startled, and he replied in a clear voice. The yin-yang flame in Ning Fan's body was slightly out of control when the young man's gaze landed on him. Fortunately, Ning Fan immediately circulated his minor five elements physique to suppress the flames that were about to go out of control. The way he looked at the young man in Taoist robe carried a hint of fear. Inextinguishable fire physique. Ning Fan's expression did not change, but he was inwardly shocked. He had seen through the physique of the young man in Taoist robes. Minor five elements body. The young man in Taoist robes was rather surprised when he realized that his ability could not make Ning Fan's flames go out of control. Haha, don't be nervous. Let me introduce you. This deacon is the young clan master of the Chu clan of the Northern Heaven Immortal World's true flame planet, Chu Yuran. He also has another identity. He is one of the four sons of the northern sky of this generation. People call him Emperor Nan. Wei Xian stood up politely and introduced the young man in Taoist robes to Ning Fan. His intimate expression towards Ning Fan was not fake at all. It was as if the two of them had a deep friendship. Lu Haoyue and the Bamboo Emperor were stunned. They did not understand why the high and mighty four heaven deacons would be so polite to a cultivator from a lower realm. One should know that even if they were divine emperors from the lower worlds, they were rarely treated politely by the four deacons. They were immortal officials from the upper realm, after all. Every single one of them had a sense of superiority, and they generally looked down on cultivators from the lower realm. Therefore, Lu Haoyue and the Bamboo Sovereign found it unbelievable that Wei Xian was so polite to Ning Fan. Chu Yuran was slightly startled. Obviously, she did not expect that Wei Xian would be so polite to Ning Fan. Then his eyes swept back and forth between Wei Xian and Ning Fan, revealing a meaningful smile. Uncle Wei, may I ask if this Liu Bei is your descendant? That's right. Could he be? That's right. The conversation between the two of them contained a hidden meaning that only the authorities could understand. Ning Fan, however, had some deductions from the information revealed in their conversation. This Chu Yuran was very polite to Wei Xian. He even addressed him as uncle. Obviously, the Chu clan of True Flame Star and the Wei clan of Heluo were old friends. It was highly possible that Chu Yuran was a friend and not an enemy. As for Chu Yuran's last sentence, he seemed to have guessed Ning Fan's identity. Ning Fan was not sure what exactly Chu Yuran had guessed. Just as he was pondering, Wei Xian sent him a telepathic message. The old ancestor of the Chu clan was your master's best friend. Unfortunately, he had already passed away before your master was in trouble. Otherwise, He definitely wouldn't have watched your master being bullied by the White Devil sect and betrayed by Han Yetian. There are still a few Void Fragmentation Realm old men in the Chu clan. On the day when the ancient heavenly court opens, these people will find an excuse to enter the ancient heavenly court from the path of 4 heavens and help you kill Han Yetian. I see. Ning Fan nodded his head. It seemed like this Chu Yuran was indeed a friend and not an enemy. As for the things he had guessed previously, he was probably guessing that Ning Fan was the disciple of the old devil. After knowing Ning Fan's identity, Chu Yuran's gaze towards Ning Fan was filled with friendliness. He stood up and said with a smile, "It turns out that Brother Lu is Senior Han's outstanding disciple. No wonder you could subdue the ferocious beast Nieli and kill the Vine Sovereign with your absolute void stage cultivation base. With such impressive achievements, you really live up to your master's reputation." It seemed like this Chu Yuran held the old devil in high esteem and admired him very much. However, the words he said did not seem to be law-abiding. He was a deacon of the 4 heavens who came to investigate the death of the Vine Sovereign. When he spoke, he did not seek justice for the fallen Vine Sovereign, nor did he reprimand Ning Fan for killing the Vine Sovereign. He also did not investigate whether Ning Fan was a cultivator from another world. On the contrary, he stood on Ning Fan's side and praised him for killing the Vine Sovereign. Such remarks really did not match his status as a deacon. Lu Haoyue was speechless. Initially, he was worried that these 2 deacons of the 4 heavens would cause trouble for Ning Fan. Now, it seemed like these 2 deacons of the 4 heavens actually had a close relationship with Ning Fan. The Bamboo Sovereign found it even more unbelievable. He could not figure out how Ning Fan, a cultivator from the lower world, could get in touch with the deacons of the 4 heavens from the upper world. Judging from the situation, these 2 deacons of the 4 heavens were going to show favoritism to Ning Fan. As expected, Chu Yuran's next few questions made the 2 sovereigns not know whether to laugh or cry. "Liu Bei, let me ask you, were you the one who killed the Vine Sovereign?" "Yes." "Why did you kill him?" "He sent his men to hunt me down first. I was just retaliating." "Oh, so it was the Vine Sovereign who provoked you first. In that case, he deserved to die. A divine sovereign of the tree world went after a junior of the absolute void stage for no reason, but failed and got killed instead. He deserved it." Alright, the investigation is over. My opinion is that the Vine Sovereign of the tree world deserved to die after Liu Bei. Liu Bei doesn't need to bear any responsibility. What do you think, Uncle Wei?" Chu Yuran asked with a smile. "I agree with Deacon Chu's opinion." Wei Xian chuckled. "If that's the case, I'll take my leave first. I'll return to the 4 heavens and report the results of this investigation to the 4 primordial sects. Sigh. Uncle Wei and I have been working so hard to investigate the case in the lower world. Unfortunately, the people of the 4 primordial sects won't even look at the results of our investigation. To them, the death of a void fragmentation realm divine sovereign in the lower world is just a trivial matter. They won't care about it at all. They can't even manage the affairs of the 4 heavenly immortals, so why would they care about the trivial matters in the lower world?" Chu Yuran looked meaningfully at Lu Haoyue and the Bamboo Emperor. His last words were a reminder to the Bamboo and Lu Emperors. Even though he had obviously shown favoritism to Ning Fan, it would be useless even if he reports this matter to the 4 primordial sects. It was better for the 2 sovereigns to pretend that they did not see the matter of favoritism today, and not meddle in other people's business. After that, he cupped his fists at Wei Xian and Ning Fan. Then he took out a star compass and summoned a star door. With a single step, he stepped into the star door and returned to the 4 heavens. What Chu Yuran did not know was that the Bamboo Sovereign owed Ning Fan a favor of saving his life. Sovereign Lu regarded Ning Fan as his bosom friend, and he could not wait for Ning Fan to get away from his crime. Thus, he did not have any opinion about Chu Yuran's favoritism. Today, the 2 deacons and the 2 tree sovereigns in the Vine King Palace were Ning Fan's subordinates. Today, Ning Fan was completely cleared of any crime. The investigation of the deacons of the 4 heavens has ended. Brother Lu is not guilty. Both of us are relieved. We will take our leave first." Lu Haoyue and the Bamboo Sovereign knew that Ning Fan was no longer in trouble. In the Vine King Palace, only Ningfan and Wei Xian were left. Ningfan looked at Wei Xian and did not know whether to laugh or cry. Senior Wei, did you purposely descend to the mortal world this time to absolve me of my crime? That's right. When I received the dossier on the Vine Sovereign's death and saw that you were the one who killed the Vine Sovereign, I immediately brought Chu Yuran to the lower realm to help you. Many thanks. Ningfan solemnly cupped his fists towards Wei Xian. This time, Ningfan felt a little strange about the experience of selling the Vine Sovereign for personal gain. He was a devil cultivator. He would not deny the fact that he had killed the Vine Sovereign. However, he also did not have the intention to compromise and please the deacons of the four heavens to absolve himself of his crime. However, Wei Xian came all the way to the mortal world to absolve Ningfan of his crime. Ningfan appreciated his kindness. What are you thanking me for? You are Old Man Han's disciple, which means you are also my disciple. Why can't I help you? Why do you need to thank me? Wei Xian waved his hand, indicating that Ningfan did not need to thank him. Then he continued, next time do it more discreetly. Don't let anyone see you. In other words, he was telling Ningfan to do it more discreetly the next time he kills a divine sovereign from the mortal world. As long as no one sees it, no one would care. Understood. Ningfan will remember Senior's teachings. That's good. Wei Xian stroked his beard and looked at Ningfan with satisfaction. It had only been a few years since they last met, and Ningfan had actually advanced step by step to the absolute void stage from a mere divine transformation realm cultivator. Moreover, Ningfan was not an ordinary absolute void stage cultivator. In a fit of rage, he even destroyed the Vine Sovereign. As far as Wei Xian knew, the Vine Sovereign and Moksha Sovereign were both cultivators at the fifth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. They were not much weaker than Moksha Sovereign. Since Ningfan could fight against the Vine Sovereign, he was qualified to challenge Moksha Sovereign. This incident has caused a huge commotion. I have already told Old Han about your deeds. You can even kill the Vine Sovereign. I believe he will be proud of you. Achoo! In the Sword Realm, Old Devil Han was sitting leisurely in a glacial sword city when he suddenly sneezed. Who's badmouthing me behind my back? You made me sneeze. Old Demon Han was the first to curse. How disrespectful. This Ning brat's behavior was simply disrespecting his elders. He actually single-handedly destroyed the Vine Hall of the Tree World. But he didn't even ask me, his master, to go with him. How disrespectful. Old Demon Han looked at the jade slip that Wei Xian had sent over and cursed again. Little Ning is too weak. He's really fast. He's dozens of times faster than me when I was young. That's not right. As a man, what good was there in being fast? What was important was endurance. Endurance is the most important thing. I can last longer than Little Ning. I'm proud. I'm proud. Old Devil Han cursed for the third time. Old Man Wei said that Little Ning will go to the ancient heavenly court in another 40 years to fight against that evil disciple. Old Devil's expression suddenly turned silent and revealed a worried expression. Little Ning, I don't care whether I kill that evil disciple or not. But you can't die. You must be careful. You're my only disciple. After having a secret conversation with Ningfan for a few hours, Wei Xian left a bulging storage pouch for Ningfan and returned to the fourth heavenly court. What he discussed with Ningfan was the matter of going to the ancient heavenly court to help him 40 years later. In the storage pouch that he passed to Ningfan, there were nearly 100 bottles of peak 6th revolution pills. All of them were pills that could increase one's cultivation base at the absolute void stage. These pills were collected by Wei Xian with great difficulty, just to give to Ningfan to help him increase his cultivation base. Other than that, Wei Xian had also collected more than 40 Void Refinement Realm Dao fruits and 3 Void Fragmentation Realm Dao fruits from somewhere. With his current cultivation base at the second heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm, it was definitely not easy for him to obtain so many pills and Dao fruits. Ningfan was very grateful to Wei Xian. He would always remember the kindness that Wei Xian had shown him, and he would definitely repay him in the future. After Wei Xian left, Ningfan followed Lu Haoyue to the treasure-storing heavenly dwelling in the inner hall of the Vine King Palace. As soon as he entered the heavenly dwelling, Ning Fan's eyes scanned through the hundreds of generations of accumulations of the Vine Palace, and his eyes were filled with astonishment. With the evil fruit, the pills that Wei Xian gave him, and the 100 generations of accumulation of the Vine Hall, it would not be difficult for Ning Fan to break through to the origin-returning Great Void stage. Moreover, most of the obstacles on his path to the Void Fragmentation realm could be eliminated with the help of the countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures in the Vine Palace. Brother Ning, since you killed the Vine Sovereign, all the treasures in the Vine Hall should belong to you. Look at these things. Are you satisfied? Lu Haoyue asked with a smile. He, the divine emperor of the Lu Palace, had no shortage of elixirs and treasures for cultivation. However, to Ning Fan, the savings of the Vine Palace was definitely an unimaginably huge amount of wealth. That was a quarter of the wealth of the tree world. Chapter 607. Ning Fan's eyes carefully scanned through the heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures that were piled up like mountains in the heavenly dwelling. Some of the heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures here were carried out from the secret place of the Vine World of the Vine Palace. Some of them were plundered from the remaining forces of the Vine Palace. In front of Ning Fan, there were 400 mountains that were piled up with immortal jade. Each mountain was made up of 10 billion immortal jade. There was also a small mountain that was made up of Dao crystals. There were about 200,000 Dao crystals. This was the huge amount of wealth that the Vine Sovereign used to provide for the cultivators of the Vine Palace. Now this wealth belonged to Ning Fan. All the cultivation methods and secret techniques of the Vine Palace filled up 1,000 jade shelves. All the spiritual herbs and spiritual roots of the Vine Palace filled up 100 medicine shops and spiritual fields. All the jade bottles of pills in the Vine Palace filled up 100 jade boxes. Among this batch of pills, there were even 3 high-grade 7th Revolution healing pills. The name of the pill was Lucian pill. It was a kind of holy healing medicine in the heaven immortal world. The Vine Palace is really rich. With these pills, Little Black's injuries won't be a problem anymore. Ning Fan smiled gently. Spiritual puppets, magic treasures, spiritual equipment. The chi of treasures soared into the sky, causing the sky of the heavenly dwelling to be filled with the light of treasures and clouds. Ning Fan's eyes scanned through those magic treasures and spiritual equipment. Among them, there were many magic treasures and spiritual equipment that were quite powerful, which made him very excited. However, Ning Fan still shifted his gaze and focused all of his attention on a towering ancient vine tree. That ancient vine tree was very similar to the ancestral bamboo of the Bamboo Palace. Perhaps there used to be a tree spirit inside the tree which was at the first or second fragmentation realm. However, this tree spirit had already been killed. Lu Haoyue also looked at the ancient vine tree with fiery eyes and explained to Ning Fan. This is the guardian tree of the Vine Palace, the origin-suppressing ancestral vine. Originally, there was a second fragmentation tree spirit in the ancestral vine tree. He was a remnant who was loyal to the Vine Palace, but I have already killed him. The fruit of the ancestral bamboo of the Bamboo Palace can increase the power of a cultivator's intent realm. On the other hand, the fruit of the Vine Hall's ancestral vine could greatly enhance a cultivator's divine sense. If one could devour the entire ancestral vine, it would greatly benefit a cultivator's divine sense. If I can devour this ancestral tongue, my spirit sense will improve by at least a small realm, reaching the 6th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. However, since the Vine Sovereign was killed by Brother Lu, this ancestral vine naturally belongs to Brother Lu. If Brother Lu devours this ancestral vine, even if your cultivation base hasn't reached the void fragmentation realm yet, your spirit sense will most likely reach the void fragmentation realm first. If your spirit sense reaches the void fragmentation realm first, it will be much easier for Brother Lu to advance to the void fragmentation realm in the future. Lu Haoyue came from afar to annihilate the Vine Hall. After he destroyed it, he sealed all the precious treasures of the Vine Hall, and left all of them to Ning Fan. The reason why Lu Haoyue did that was because he was grateful to Ning Fan for lending him a helping hand. Secondly, he regarded Ning Fan as a friend. That was why he treated him sincerely. Ning Fan gave Lu Haoyue a deep look without saying anything. Deep down, he had already regarded Lu Haoyue as a friend. Along the way, he had rarely made friends with others. However, Lu Haoyue's temperament was very similar to his. They could be friends of the same kind. Although there are many things in the Vine Hall, not all of them are useful to me. I will only take the useful items from the things here. As for the rest, I will leave them all to Brother Lu as the expenses to expand the forces of the Lu Palace. As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, he took away 1 trillion immortal jade and 200,000 Dao crystals. He also took away all the useful pill recipes and cultivation methods. He also took away all the pills that could increase one's cultivation base at the absolute void stage. He only took half of the spiritual herbs that were 50,000 years old and above. As for the magic treasures and spiritual equipment, he only took 5 to 6 useful items. As for the high-grade 7th Revolution healing pills, they were naturally taken away by Ning Fan. As for the remaining items, he left them all to Lu Haoyue. It's considered my fortune to be able to meet Brother Lu in my lifetime. Now I still have some matters to attend to and I have no choice but to leave. If I have time in the future, I will certainly have a drink and discuss the Tao with Brother Lu again. Farewell. Ning Fan cupped his fists at Lu Haoyue. Then he turned around and left the heavenly dwelling, directly leaving the Vine King city. Brother Lu Haoyue was greatly astonished. He did not expect that Ning Fan would leave so many things for him. However, after giving it a thought, he understood Ning Fan's intention. Of course, Lu Haoyue knew Ning Fan's real name, and his identity as a cultivator of the Rain World. However, he never pointed it out. When Ning Fan left, he addressed himself as Ning Fan. It was because he wanted to be honest with Lu Haoyue with his real identity. Given Ning Fan's cold personality, the way he said that meant that he regarded Lu Haoyue as a friend. Moreover, the reason why he left so many resources of the Vine Hall to Lu Haoyue was also because he wanted to help Lu Haoyue. Today, the Vine Hall was destroyed and the Bamboo Hall had declined. Even though the Bamboo Sovereign was still around, he was also recuperating. He had suffered serious injuries during the battle, and it would be difficult for him to recover without 100 years. Among the 3 sovereigns of the tree world, only the Lu Hall still had its resources. In the future, the tree world would need the Lu Hall to hold up the facade of the tree world. If the Lu Hall wants to increase its strength, it would need a large amount of money and pills. As for why Ning Fan left the Vine King city in a hurry, it was because he did not want to drag Lu Haoyue down by staying here. After killing the Vine Sovereign and Wan Chongkong, Ning Fan had offended the 3 Realms sect. The disturbance caused by the deacons of the 4 oceans had already passed. However, no one knew how the 3 Realms sect would deal with him. The 3 Realms sect was a force of the upper 3 Realms realm. They could not openly attack the Bamboo Sovereign and Lu Sovereign, but they could find an excuse to deal with Ning Fan. Ning Fan had a premonition that the 3 Realms sect would not give up just like this. After leaving the Vine King city, he would find a place to enter seclusion and return to his primordial essence. Then he would begin to subdue the rogue devil. If he can successfully subdue the rogue devil, he would not be afraid even if the sect master of the 3 Realms sect comes personally. I appreciate Brother Ning's good intention. However, I, Lu Haoyue, am not a person who is afraid of trouble. If the 3 Realms sect really wants to make things difficult for you, I certainly won't stand idly by. In a flash, Lu Haoyue walked out of the heavenly dwelling. He cupped his fist towards the direction where Ning Fan had left, and said using telepathy. Ning Fan, who had already gone 1 million li away from the Vine King city, heard Lu Haoyue's telepathy. His eyes flashed slightly, but he did not say anything and continued to fly further away. In the beginning, he went all the way to the west. Later on, he turned south. After traveling for a few days, he found a desolate and uninhabited mountain. He opened up a cave dwelling and went into seclusion there. Inside the cave dwelling, Ning Fan took out a new set of turtle shell for divination and calculated his fortune before he leaves the tree world. With his divination technique, he naturally could not predict the specific future. However, after a round of divination, his turtle shell shattered again. The crisis in the Eastern Tree Sea has ended, but my crisis has yet to end. The shattering of the turtle shell is still a great omen. Great omen. Could this calamity be the Three Realms sect? Ning Fan withdrew all of his thoughts. With a sway of his body, he went into the cauldron world. Both Teng Xianro and Purple-Eyed Evil Li were in the cauldron world. After nearly 2 months of recuperation, the injuries that Teng Xianro suffered from during the battle against the ancestral bamboo tree devil had already healed. As for the Purple-Eyed Evil Li, her injuries were definitely not light. The injuries that Wan Changkong left on her gradually worsened under the Vine Sovereign's desperate counterattack. If it wasn't because she wanted to protect Ning Fan, she certainly would not have been injured by Wan Changkong, and the Vine Sovereign given her abilities. As soon as Ning Fan entered the cauldron world, he immediately flew hundreds of millions of li to the north and arrived above a massive lake. The water of this lake was usually crystal clear. At this moment, however, it was dyed black and purple by the filthy blood. Moreover, it emitted a foul stench. The thing that tainted the lake water was the Purple-Eyed Evil Li. She was recuperating at the bottom of the lake. However, her injuries were too severe. It would be difficult for her to fully recover without at least 100 years of recuperation. Are her injuries so severe? Ning Fan did not mind the foul stench. With a flash of his traveling light, he dived to the bottom of the lake and appeared beside the Purple-Eyed Evil Li. He gently stroked her feathers, which were softer than the hair of a woman. Shriek! Shriek! Seeing Ning Fan's arrival, the Purple-Eyed Evil Li immediately cupped her head obediently. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with a smile. He patted the Purple-Eyed Evil Li's gigantic beak and took out a high-grade 7th Revolution Immortal pill and gently fed it to her. He had obtained a total of 3 pills. One was for the little Sable, and the other was for the Purple-Eyed Evil Li. As for the last one, Ning Fan could keep it for the time being. He had only met this Purple-Eyed Evil Li for a short period of time. However, he was deeply touched by her intention to protect him even at the cost of her own life. As for the other 3 Evil Li, they were wild and untamed. It was fine if they died. However, Ning Fan had already regarded this Purple-Eyed Evil Li as his spiritual pet. Thus, he would not let her suffer from severe injuries. Shriek! Shriek! The Purple-Eyed Evil Li obediently swallowed the pill and looked at Ning Fan gratefully with her beautiful light purple eyes. From today onwards, you will be called Zili. You will stay by my side. If I don't die, I won't let you die. Ning Fan stroked the black feathers of the Purple-Eyed Evil Li. In a flash, he left the cauldron world and entered the dark golden pagoda in the Yuanyao world. The Purple-Eyed Evil Li stared at Ning Fan's departing light. Her eyes were filled with reluctance and determination. He was the last member of the Fu Li clan. She would certainly do everything she could to protect him. She must. In the Yuanyao world, Ning Fan climbed to the 7th floor of the pagoda step by step. He entered a palace room and walked into a paradise. Sitting cross-legged on the peak of a tall mountain, Ning Fan took out bottles of pills and Dao fruits and began to consume them. The first thing he consumed was the large number of 6th Revolution pills he obtained from the Vine Palace. Among the pills in the Vine Palace, there were more than 2,000 peak 6th Revolution pills which could increase the cultivation base of an absolute void stage cultivator. These pills could increase the magic power of an absolute void stage cultivator by nearly 20 million units. As the force of the Tree Sovereign, the Vine Palace naturally had an extraordinary foundation. These 2,000 pills were made up of dozens of different types of pills. They were the accumulation of the Vine Palace for hundreds of generations. Ning Fan had opened up the first divine aperture of an ancient god. The effect of the pills that could increase his magic power was 2 times that of an ordinary cultivator. 1 pill was equivalent to 2 pills. Time passed day by day. 50 years had passed in the blink of an eye on the 7th floor of the pagoda. Ning Fan had spent 50 years to refine all the accumulation of the Vine Palace. His magic power had increased from 21.1 million units to 59 million units. The reason why his magic power did not reach the same level was because he was resistant to the medicinal properties of the pills. Now that his cultivation base had reached this level, Ning Fan could actually begin to return to his original state. He was not in a hurry to return to his original state. Instead, he took out the pills and Dao fruits that Wei Xian gave him and consumed them one by one. Time flew. Another 30 years had passed in the pagoda. Ning Fan's magic power was already close to 85 million units. In the end, he took out 20 evil fruits and began to refine them. Time passed day by day. Ning Fan's magic power had already broken through the limit of 100 million units, and it was still increasing. In terms of magic power alone, he had already surpassed an ordinary absolute void stage cultivator by a huge margin. He was not much weaker than an old monster at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. At this stage, he finally began to borrow the power of the Tao crystals to turn the 60 units of magic power into 1 unit of magic power. 1 Tao crystal would be consumed for every 1,000 units of magic power he had. If Ning Fan wants to return all of his magic power to his original state, he would need to spend at least 125,000 Tao crystals. Chapter 608. Everything was difficult at the beginning. The hardest step of returning to the origin was to return to the first thread of Yuan Hui's mana. With the first strand of Yuan Hui mana, one could give birth to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 10,000. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and a mountain of Tao crystals suddenly appeared on the summit of the mountain. He bent his palm and summoned a Tao crystal. Holding it in his hand, he carefully felt the vast flow of heaven and earth elemental energy within the Tao crystal. To cultivators before the origin returning realm, immortal jades and Tao crystals only had a few simple uses. As currency, setting up formations, forging tools, etc. For cultivators who had returned to the origin returning realm, after their magic power had returned to the origin returning realm, they could directly absorb the heaven and earth yuan qi within the immortal jade and Tao crystal to recover their magic power, and even raise their cultivation. A Tao crystal was equivalent to 5 million immortal jades, and the elemental energy contained within it was enough to raise one's eyebrows. After attaining the void fragmentation realm, the main way to increase one's cultivation base was no longer to consume pills. Instead, it was to absorb the primordial force of the Tao crystals. Yuan Hui. Ning Fan closed his eyes and slowly absorbed the primordial power of heaven and earth within the Tao crystal. Following the absorption of the origin energy, the flickering luster on the Tao crystal gradually dimmed, and after the origin energy was completely exhausted, it dried up and shattered. Ning Fan absorbed the primordial power within the Tao crystal, allowing it to fuse with the magic power in his body. Gradually, the magical power in Ning Fan's immortal veins began to change. It was like the evaporation of the ocean, leaving only sea salt at the bottom of the ocean. It was as if the fog had turned into water, and the water had turned into ice. It was as if sand had fallen into the earth, and the earth had piled up to form a mountain. It was like a seed germinating, growing into a towering ancient tree, blooming and bearing fruit. It was an indescribably mysterious feeling. A whole 1,000 units of spiritual power, like scattered silk threads, were slowly being twisted into an extremely thin rope. That rope was Yuan Hui's supernatural power. However, just as this strand of Yuan Hui mana was about to take shape, it suddenly loosened and turned back into a unit of mana. Failure. The first strand of Yuan Hui magical power is indeed the hardest to cultivate. Ning Fan did not show the slightest dispirited expression. He calmed himself down and fetched another Tao crystal, trying to return it to his primordial essence. He failed again and again and tried again and again. Ning Fan stayed in the 7th floor of the pagoda for another 10 years. Over the past 10 years, he had tried to return to his origin 20,000 times, and used up 20,000 Tao gems before he finally cultivated the first strand of Yuan Hui mana. At the moment when the magic power of 1,000 units turned into Yuan Hui magic power, Ning Fan's aura underwent an obvious change. His appearance was still that of a young man, but his aura carried a trace of vicissitudes. He opened his palm, and a stream of white gas immediately came out of his palm, turning into a drop of rain. This drop of rain was the form of Yihui's magical power. Ning Fan used the origin returning technique of the rain ancestor to return to his primordial essence. Naturally, his magic power also followed the rain sovereign and turned into rain. As for this drop of rain, it contained all of his understanding and Tao comprehension towards rain in his entire life. Looking at the raindrops on his palm, Ning Fan was suddenly enlightened. He understood the true meaning of 60 years return to origin. Those who possessed 60 units of magic power were humans. Those who possessed Yuanhui dermic powers were immortals. When cultivating magic power for 60 years, cultivators cultivate their magic power. During the cultivation of essence and magic power, the cultivator not only cultivated magic power, but also cultivated their own Tao. Mortals cultivate techniques while immortals cultivate the Tao. The Tao comes from techniques and techniques develop within the Tao. Ning Fan sighed and dispersed the rain in his palm. That was the first trace of Yuanhui magic power that he had condensed after 10 years of hard work. Rain is the rain ancestors' Tao. However, it isn't my Tao. My Tao isn't rain. Even though I can use the rain ancestors' origin returning technique to return to my primordial essence, the magic power produced by this method is different from my Tao. Rain is not a good choice. My Tao is the butterfly. It's that undying obsession. The so-called origin returning technique is to use the power of the Tao crystal to merge the Tao into the technique. So that's how it is. Ning Fan bent his palm and beckoned another Tao crystal to him, absorbing and refining it. This time, he slightly modified the rain ancestors' origin returning technique. He retained the unique characteristic of the rain ancestors' technique of combining 3 types of power into one. However, he integrated his own Tao into the technique. In the blink of an eye, another 10 years had passed. After consuming 20,000 Tao crystals, Ning Fan successfully returned to his primordial essence and cultivated his first trace of Yuanhui magic power. He opened his palm. This time, the form of magic power that was produced was a black butterfly. The black color was his devil sense of obsession. It's still a little lacking. Ning Fan dispersed the black butterfly once again. Once again, he started from zero and returned to his primordial essence. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Another 10 years had passed. Ning Fan successfully cultivated Yuanhui magic power for the 3rd time. He opened his palm. This time, the form of magic power that was produced was still the black butterfly. However, as long as Ning Fan willed it, it would turn into a white butterfly again. When he willed it again, the butterfly turned half black and half white. The black color was his devil sense of obsession. The white color was his gentleness that he could not bear to part with. Even though he had fallen into the devil Tao, he was not a pure devil. He was not a pure devil cultivator, a pure sword cultivator, or a pure pill refinement master. He was not a person who could be easily determined. He was just Ning Fan. If he loses the white color, the black color that he had turned into would be meaningless. If he loses the black color, he would lose the means to protect the white color. I am me. One yin and one yang. Neither good nor evil. This is my Tao. The first trace of Yuanhui magic power has been formed. The rest is easy. Refine. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and summoned a few pieces of Tao crystals to him. He devoured them at the same time. Day after day passed. More and more units of magic power turned into Yuanhui magic power. The qi around Ning Fan's body also became thicker and older. Nearly 125 million units of magic power eventually turned into 57,870 units of Yuanhui magic power. Even though the quantity had decreased, the quality of his magic power had improved tremendously. Just by returning his magic power to his primordial essence, Ning Fan's combat power was at least 50% stronger than before. There were still 170 to 80,000 Tao crystals in front of him. Now that he had successfully returned to his primordial essence, even though he had yet to attain the void fragmentation realm, he could still barely absorb the power of the Tao crystals to increase his magic power. Ordinary void fragmentation realm and void fragmentation realm cultivators could increase their magic power by 1 Yuanhui by devouring 10 Tao crystals. The magic power of an ordinary first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator was between 50,000 to 100,000 Yuanhui. Ning Fan devoured all the Tao crystals and borrowed the abilities of his ancient divine aperture to increase his magic power by 2 times compared to ordinary people. In the blink of an eye, 40 years had passed. After Ning Fan had refined all the Tao crystals, his magic power had reached 75,500 Yuanhui. Now that his magic power had reached this level, It was a notch higher than ordinary first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm old monsters. Ning Fan inspected his own body and briefly sensed his current condition. At this moment, even though he had yet to attain the void fragmentation realm, his magic power was definitely unparalleled within the primordial essence returning realm. Even though he was still a cultivator at the primordial essence returning realm, he was slightly stronger than ordinary first heavenly layer realm old monsters. Ning Fan reckoned that if he were to face the seventh prince of the Rain Palace, Yin Jinghong, who was at the first heavenly layer realm, he would have a great chance of winning against him even if he did not use his trump cards or abilities. If he attains the void fragmentation realm, he would probably be unrivaled in the first heavenly layer as soon as he attains that level. I've already completed my primordial essence returning realm. Now what I lack is just the void fragmentation realm. From the literal meaning of the words, void fragmentation realm is to allow a cultivator to break through the void. The word void doesn't refer to the void of external objects. In my opinion, it refers to the false and lost Tao in a cultivator's heart. Only by sweeping away these lost Tao can one attain the void fragmentation realm. Ning Fan had completely succeeded in his primordial essence returning realm. He closed his eyes, adjusting his breath and gathering his magic power while looking back at the path he had walked. His past in Wu country, his memories in Yu country, the massacre in the Endless Sea. All of these scenes gathered in his heart. When he looked back at the path he had walked would become his Tao. However, there were still some regrets that had yet to be resolved on this path. There were still some lost Tao. He started his journey from Wu country to Yu country. Step by step, the Tao he had walked on had turned into a circle. Vein opening, harmonious spirit, gold core, nascent soul, spirit severing, void refinement. Every step of cultivation was to complete this Tao circle. As for the void fragmentation realm, it was to break this Tao circle and surpass it. Even though the current Ning Fan had completed all the cultivation realms before the void fragmentation realm, he had yet to complete the Tao circle. There was still a crack on the Tao circle. Only by mending this crack could the circle be broken. In the past, Mu Weiliang in his previous life and Jiha in his current life were once lost in his heart. However, when he found Weiliang's 3 spiritual and 7 physical souls, that loss had turned into a firm belief to resurrect her. In the past, the lofty figure of Moksha Sovereign was once a loss in Ning Fan's heart. However, the current Ning Fan had walked step by step towards the peak of the first step of cultivation. He had the strength to fight equally with Moksha Sovereign. Thus, this loss was no longer a concern. The last loss in his heart was that he could not find his parents and fulfill his filial duty that he had not fulfilled. There is one thing that I am not as good as Tang Yuan. Tang Yuan is a human, while I have yet to become a complete human. My Tao has yet to be perfected. That's why I can't break through. Now my magic power is more than enough to break through to the void fragmentation realm. However, the reason why I can't break through to the void fragmentation realm is because I have yet to resolve the last regret in my heart. After erasing this regret, the Tao circle can be completed and the void fragmentation realm is just around the corner. On the 7th floor of the pagoda, Ning Fan finally succeeded in his primordial essence returning realm after cultivating for 170 years, and saw his own path to break through to the void fragmentation realm. He adjusted his breathing for a few months and stabilized his primordial returning realm. Then he began to break through to the first grade rain intent. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out the fruit that the ancestral bamboo tree spirit had turned into. He swallowed it and began to refine it. This fruit was equivalent to 1,000 ancestral tree fruits. It was more than enough for Ning Fan's rain intent to break through to the first grade. The rain intent increased bit by bit. Ning Fan's body was surrounded by a faint sky-green rain intent. From the 3rd grade to the 2nd grade, and then to the 1st grade. At the moment when the rain intent broke through to the 1st grade, Ning Fan's physical body suddenly disintegrated, turning into a drizzle that filled the sky. A 1st grade rain intent could even turn one's body into rain. There was no one in the rain world or the 9 worlds who could cultivate the rain intent to the 1st grade. There might be some in the 4 heavens, but not many of them would go there. Moreover, those who have the 1st grade rain intent were at least immortals. The drizzle condensed again and turned into a white-robed young man. It was Ningfan. Ningfan clenched his fists tightly. With his current magic power and rain intent, he could certainly spread his spirit sense across the entire middle state if he used the heaven-peaking rain. Then, he could find his mother and resolve the last regret in his heart. After devouring the tree spirit fruit, Ningfan patted his storage pouch and took out the ancestral bamboo of the bamboo palace and the ancestral vine of the vine palace. Both of them were supreme treasures of the wood element. If Ningfan devours them, the wood element constitution of his minor 5 elements physique would certainly improve tremendously. Silly little brother, this ancestral bamboo and ancestral vine are rare supreme treasures of the wood element. If you devour them, I'm afraid your minor wood element physique will reach perfection in one go. Luo Yu's teasing laughter resounded in his mind. I hope so. Ningfan shook his body and displayed an incarnation technique. He turned into a green insect and attached himself to the ancestral bamboo. Then he began to devour it bit by bit. The incarnation of the green insect was something he found from the countless secret techniques of the Vine Palace. After transforming into this incarnation, the efficiency of devouring wood element spiritual items would greatly increase. His wood element physique was improving step by step and gradually approaching perfection. 2%, 3%, 4%. Ningfan's minor 5 elements physique was improving bit by bit. His body refinement realm was also improving step by step. His late reckless devil realm, ancient devil cultivation base was advancing step by step towards the peak reckless devil realm. Chapter 609. 170 years in the pagoda was only equivalent to 17 months in the outside world. During these 17 months, Ningfan's name had already spread across the 9 worlds. Killing the Vine Sovereign and destroying the Vine Hall. Many void fragmentation realm experts in the 9 worlds knew about Liu Bei's name. Those who were observant had already found out from various channels that the so-called Liu Bei was actually the same person as Marquis White Robe in the Rain world. In the Devil world, Wuxia Sovereign, who had just come out from his seclusion, read the information in his hand. His eyes were extremely gloomy when he saw Ningfan's portrait. He had already recognized that the young man in the portrait was the one who injured him with the strength of an ant more than 50 years ago. He was another disciple of old Devil Han. He recalled the young man's eyes, which were filled with unwillingness and determination when he was in Yu country. That young man had already made up his mind to take revenge on him for old Devil Han, and was approaching him step by step. That young man could even kill the Vine Sovereign. It was enough to give him a sense of danger. There's no need to ask. Dao Yan, who I sent to the Rain world, must have died in his hands. I have underestimated him. Han Yuanji is in the Sword world. He has people from the Godly Void Pavilion protecting him. And there is also a powerful sword cultivator, with a mysterious background, who is secretly protecting him. All the assassins I sent to kill Han Yuanji have died in the Sword world. Han Yuanji is still struggling at death's door, while this Ningfan has actually reached his current state step by step, when I was being careless. Ningfan. I can't let this young man continue to grow. Didn't he kill the Vine Sovereign? I know that she is the disciple of the sect master of the 3 worlds. Wuxia Sovereign sneered and gave an order to the Dark Palace. Where are the 4 devil elders? I'm here. For masses of black mist suddenly appeared in the palace, and turned into 4 black-robed old men. All of them were void fragmentation realm experts. The 4 of you, take my token and go to the 3 worlds sect in the Heaven Immortal world. What? To the Heaven Immortal world. The Devil world and the Heaven Immortal world have always been on bad terms. As cultivators of the Devil world, I'm afraid it will cause a lot of trouble if we go there without permission. The 4 devil elders said hesitantly. It doesn't matter. For better or worse, I'm a member of the White Devil sect. As long as you don't cause trouble in the Heaven Immortal realm, those overcautious old fogies won't make things difficult for you. When you arrive at the 3 realms sect, hand this jade slip to the 3 realms sect leader. Tell him that I want to invite him to kill someone together. Furthermore, this emperor has a divination jade slip left behind by the White Demon sect. It can calculate this person's whereabouts. Moksha Sovereign smiled coldly. He was confident that he could kill Ningfan. However, for the sake of caution, he still decided to ask the Three Worlds sect to help him. If he joins forces with the Three Worlds sect, Ningfan will certainly die. It was best to nip the seeds of danger in the bud. Before Ningfan left the Tree World, his greatest tribulation was brought upon by Moksha Sovereign and the Three Worlds sect. Inside the dark golden pagoda, the green insect that Ningfan had turned into was devouring the ancestral bamboo bit by bit. He did not know that Moksha Sovereign had already set up a great calamity for him. Even if he knew everything, he would not be afraid. He would not avoid the tribulation. He would only fight back and kill Moksha Sovereign instead. After devouring the ancestral bamboo, Ningfan's wood elemental physique was close to perfection. After devouring the ancestral vine, Ningfan's wood elemental physique reached perfection, and his spirit sense received a great improvement. The green insect shook its body and turned back into Ningfan, who was clad in white robes. After devouring the two great wood elemental treasures, the wood elemental physique in his little five physique was completely perfected. If all the minor five elemental physique are perfected, it would advance to the great five elemental physique. Even though he had only perfected one line of the minor five elemental physique, his ancient devil cultivation base had directly broken through to the peak reckless devil realm, advancing by an entire minor realm. When his ancient devil cultivation base reached the peak reckless devil realm, the strength of his physical body was even comparable to a body cultivator at the first heavenly layer of the nirvana realm. Moreover, after his wood elemental physique reached perfection, Ningfan's physical body's defense against wood elemental magic techniques could be said to be heaven-defying. Ordinary wood cultivators at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm would not be able to harm Ningfan at all with their wood elemental magic techniques. The minor five elemental physique was a special physique. The improvement of a special physique could often strengthen one's physical body. Every time the minor five elemental physique reached the perfection of a physique, the physical body would undergo a qualitative change. If Ningfan could continue to perfect the other four elemental physiques, his physical body would become stronger step by step. Other than the great improvement of his physical body, Ningfan's spirit sense had also improved tremendously. The origin-suppressing ancestral vine had the miraculous effect of improving a cultivator's spirit sense. Lu Huang had once said that if he devours the ancestral vine, his spirit sense could advance from the fifth heavenly layer to the sixth heavenly layer. After Ningfan refined the entire ancestral vine, his spirit sense cultivation base advanced to the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm from the origin returning realm. Magic power, spirit sense, physical body. No matter which level one looked at it from, Ningfan's strength had already surpassed the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. After devouring the two great wood elemental treasures, Ningfan adjusted his breathing for a few months to stabilize the level of his physical body and spirit sense. After that, Ningfan took out the few spiritual magic treasures that he took from the Vine Palace and studied them carefully. There were two magic treasures in total. One of them was called Leizhenzi. It was a magic treasure that looked like a silver pearl. It could only be used once. Once it is used, it would explode and release destructive lightning which could directly kill an old monster at the second heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. The other magic treasure was called Wind Steadying Flag. It was a low-grade immortal void realm defensive magic treasure. The magic treasure itself was not powerful, but it had a heaven-defying restraint against wind attribute abilities. Its effect was similar to the Wind Steadying Pearl. It was a supreme treasure that could withstand the wind tribulation of the void fragmentation realm. To Ningfan, these two magic treasures were considered to be rather useful. There were also two spiritual equipment. One of them was called Flowing Light Ring. It was a mid-grade divine profound realm treasure. It had the ability to conceal oneself. It could hide one's body from the detection of a fifth heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator at most. The other spiritual equipment was called Longevity Lock. It was a golden lock pendant. It was a high-grade divine profound realm treasure. Its effect was to protect one's life once. With this lock protecting one's body, even if a seventh heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator attacks him, he would be able to protect his life once without suffering any damage. This lock was originally a life-saving item given to the Vine Sovereign by the sect leader of the Three Worlds. Unfortunately, the grade of this spiritual equipment was too high for the Vine Sovereign to refine. Ning Fan possessed the ancestral blood of the Fuli tribe. His blood contained a spirit. Even though he had yet to cultivate the spirit wheel, he was able to rely on the spirit in his bloodline to refine spiritual equipment that was at a higher level than his. The heaven-deceiving cloak was no longer enough to hide him in the void fragmentation realm. Ning Fan forced it out of his body and refined the flowing light ring to make it recognize him as its master. The longevity lock was a life-saving spiritual equipment. This kind of spiritual equipment was extremely precious. To Ning Fan, it could be said that he had an extra life. Thus, he naturally wanted to refine it and make it recognize him as its master. After refining the two spiritual equipment and making them recognize him as their master, Ning Fan adjusted his breathing for a few more months and began to do one last thing. He took out the ancient morning heavenly jade that he obtained from killing Wan Chongkong and revealed a hesitant expression. This ancient morning heavenly jade once contained the inheritance of the Morning Death clan. However, this inheritance had already been inherited by Wan Chongkong. It was unrealistic to rely on this jade to cultivate the Morning Death devil veins. The ancient jade contained a puppet thread of the Morning Ancestor. With this puppet thread, Ning Fan was 90% confident that he could refine the rogue devil into a living puppet and completely subdue it. Even though he was confident, he still had to consider the possibility of failing to subdue it. The best place to subdue a rogue devil was still the profound Een world. Even if he fails to subdue it, he would at most waste the puppet thread of the ancient morning heavenly jade. It would not allow the rogue devil to escape from the devil sealing pouch. With a sway of his body, Ning Fan left the Yuan Yao world and entered the profound Een world. With a flick of his sleeve, he took out the storage pouch that sealed the rogue devil and took a deep breath. Luo Yu slowly walked out of the thatched cottage. As soon as she saw Ning Fan's action, she knew that he was going to subdue the rogue devil in the profound Een world. She did not say much. Instead, she walked to Ning Fan's side and gave him an enchanting smile. "Do you need me to help you unseal the ancient jade?" "All right." Ning Fan nodded and handed the ancient morning heavenly jade to Luo Yu. Unsealing the ancient jade would consume a large amount of magic power. With Luo Yu doing it for him, he did not need to recover his magic power after unsealing the ancient jade. Luo Yu took the ancient morning heavenly jade. At first, she still had a charming expression on her face. However, as soon as her soft palm touched the ancient jade, she was immediately startled. It was clearly her first time seeing this incomplete piece of ancient jade. However, this special touch evoked another memory in her. She was born in the Luo clan and was the daughter of the clan leader. She had once seen a similar incomplete piece of ancient jade among her father's many treasures. That piece of ancient jade had always been treasured by her father. It was said that there was a huge secret hidden in that incomplete piece of jade. It was said that there were still a few more pieces of that kind of jade. Perhaps the incomplete piece of jade that Ning Fan obtained by chance was the same type of secret treasure as the one that her father had kept in his collection in the past. It is said that there is a huge secret hidden in this ancient jade. I once saw my father keeping a similar piece of ancient jade. With my father's identity, anything that he regards as a treasure is definitely not a trivial matter. Luo Yu's beautiful eyes revealed a hint of seriousness. "Your father?" Ning Fan was surprised. Then he asked, "What kind of huge secret is hidden in this jade? Is it related to the Morning Death clan?" "I don't know. After I unseal the morning ancestral puppet strings in the ancient morning heavenly jade, you must not throw this jade away. Keep it by your side and don't show it to others easily. Even though I don't know what kind of secret is hidden in this jade, it is most likely a supreme treasure." Luo Yu gave him a few reminders. Then, she sat cross-legged in the sky and began to unseal the ancient jade. Ning Fan did not disturb her. He quietly watched as the ancient jade was unsealed step by step. He watched as the ancient jade gradually emitted an extremely dangerous qi. He watched as Luo Yu drew out a silver thread from the ancient jade with a slightly pale face, and tossed it into the sky. Immediately, it turned into a silver river. Use this thread to quickly subdue the rogue devil. I need to recuperate and heal my injuries immediately. Luo Yu did not say anything else. She immediately turned into a ray of traveling light and returned to the thatched cottage to recuperate in seclusion. Currently, she had recovered her second heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivation base. However, just unsealing the morning ancestral puppet strings had already caused her to suffer serious injuries. It was enough to show how powerful the morning ancestral puppet strings was. Ning Fan held the devil sealing pouch in his hand and leaped into the silver river in the sky. Then he reached out his hand to grab it. The Milky Way immediately turned into a bright silver thread and landed in his palm. The thread that seemed as light as cotton was actually extremely heavy. It directly pressed Ning Fan down from the sky. Currently, Ning Fan's physical body was comparable to an old monster at the first heavenly layer of the Nirvana realm. His strength was so great that he could crush mountains and rivers within a million li with a stomp. However, even with his extraordinary strength, he couldn't move a mere puppet string at all. Not only him, even a rogue immortal would not be able to lift this puppet string. This was also the reason why Luo Yu summoned the puppet string into the sky and turned it into a silver river the moment she unsealed it. The string was too heavy. Even she could not lift it. This string is unwilling to submit to me. Thus, I won't move it. Holding the puppet string in his hand, Ning Fan fell from the sky. He gradually focused his mind and a black moon mark slowly appeared in his left eye. At this moment he displayed the life imprisoning technique. At this moment, his body exuded a dignified aura that had experienced the vicissitudes of life, making him look like the ancestor of mourning death. At this moment, the puppet string, which was as heavy as a mountain, immediately became light. It escaped from Ning Fan's palm and circled around him happily. It had submitted to Ning Fan's Black Moon divine ability. Ning Fan steadied his body in the sky and gradually calmed his breathing. He held the Morning Ancestor puppet string in his hand. The moment he held the string, he had a feeling. At this moment, he could severely injure any rogue immortal just by using the puppet string in his hand. The rogue devil in his storage pouch had its first heavenly layer cultivation base extracted by Ning Fan, leaving it with an 8th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivation base. The success rate of subduing the rogue devil was very high. After waiting for so many years, I will officially subdue you today. Open. At this moment, Ning Fan opened the devil sealing pouch. At the moment the pouch was opened, an extremely arrogant and hideous laughter came from inside. Junior. Previously, you extracted my cultivation base. This time, I will tear you into pieces. Rumbled. A black shadow suddenly rushed out of the devil sealing pouch, trying to enter the profound Een world to kill Ning Fan. However, an invisible force of the world stopped him from doing so. It was like an incomparably hard wall, causing him to let out a miserable cry and heavily collide with the force of the world. He was unable to escape. Despicable. Too despicable. You actually opened the devil sealing pouch in this dimensional world again. I can't accept this if I can't get out. If you have the guts, come inside the devil sealing pouch. I want to fight you for 500 rounds. If you have the guts, come inside and fight me. The rogue devil roared furiously. As you wish. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with a cold light. Holding the puppet string of the Morning Ancestor in his hand, his body turned into a ray of light and shot into the devil sealing pouch. If he wants to subdue the rogue devil as his puppet, he must fight him face to face and suppress him with the puppet string of the Morning Ancestor. Ning Fan withdrew the ray of light and appeared in a space filled with devil mist. It was the internal space of the devil sealing pouch. Behind this boundless space, a giant of black mist with 2 horns on his head stood proudly in the sky. He was none other than the rogue devil. Seeing that Ning Fan was not provoked and really entered the devil sealing pouch, the rogue devil was overjoyed. He did not expect that Ning Fan would really do something stupid and enter the devil sealing pouch to court death. When they met in the past, Ning Fan was just at the divine transformation realm. Now that they met again, Ning Fan was already at the returning origin Taishu realm. This slightly surprised the rogue devil, but he did not take it seriously. To him, even if Ningfan's cultivation base was at the 5th or 6th destruction realm, it would not be difficult for him to kill him. The only thing that he was afraid of was that Ningfan's ancestral blood was a little powerful. Previously, it actually drew away his first heavenly layer cultivation base despicably through the devil sealing pouch. However, if it's a face-to-face battle, he was not afraid of Ningfan's ancestral blood at all. Haha. I really didn't expect it. I really didn't expect that you would really come in here to court death. Ha ha ha. The rogue devil let out a loud laugh. He raised his hand and sent out countless traces of devil chi which turned into rays of devil light, sealing all the exits of the devil sealing pouch. He was not prepared to give Ningfan any chance to escape. Haha. How about we make a deal? If you are willing to let me plant a restrictive spell on you, become my slave and let me out of this damn devil sealing pouch, I can spare your life. Ningfan did not say much. You aren't willing? You are actually unwilling. Do you know that I can pinch you to death with just a flick of my finger? I will count to 3. If you don't let me out of here, I will peel off your skin, scrape your bones and swallow you alive. 1, 2. The rogue devil's expression was extremely arrogant. From his point of view, Ningfan was already a lamb from the moment he entered the devil sealing pouch. He could do whatever he wanted to him. Before he could finish counting to 3, he suddenly saw Ningfan raise his right hand. He was holding a thin and weak silver thread and gently waved it at him. That silver thread that was as light as a feather did not seem to have any destructive power. However, the moment Ningfan waved the silver thread, it immediately landed heavily on the rogue devil's chest. All of a sudden, the rogue devil had an illusion. What hit him was not a thin thread but a galaxy that filled the entire sky and 100,000 stars. Ah! In just a single strike, the rogue devil was caught off guard. He was directly hit to the point where he coughed out blood and fell from the sky. His eyes were filled with fear. He could feel a sense of danger from that silver thread. What kind of damn thread is this? What kind of damn thread is this? Chapter 610. No one knew what kind of great battle had taken place inside the pouch. 3 days later, Ningfan turned into a wisp of smoke and floated out of the pouch. His face was as pale as a piece of paper. He had lost a lot of blood essence and his eyes were filled with worry. Have you successfully subdued the rogue devil? Luo Yu asked with concern. More or less. However, Ningfan sighed softly and tied the pouch to his waist without saying anything else. Luo Yu did not ask any more questions either. He stayed in the profound Yin world to recuperate for a few days. After he had fully recovered, he returned to the outside world. Standing in the cave dwelling, Ningfan remained silent for a long time. Then he suddenly patted the pouch. As he did so, a cloud of stinky black chi immediately flew out of the pouch. The black chi condensed and turned into a bald burly man in black armor. His eyes were dull and empty, but his body was surrounded by the aura force of an 8th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm expert. The moment the burly man appeared, his body gave off an extremely dense baleful chi. He took a step forward and approached Ningfan with a hint of arrogance. Ningfan did not say much. He pointed his right index finger, and a silver line immediately appeared and coiled around his finger. The moment the silver line appeared, the burly man in black armor showed an extremely painful expression. He groaned and knelt on the ground. The body of the bald burly man glowed faintly with golden swastika characters, and there was a silver line flowing inside his body. If someone could see through the burly man's body, they would certainly find that his immortal veins, flesh, internal organs and primordial spirit were all penetrated by the silver line. Ningfan looked at the bald burly man deeply and sighed. The bald burly man was the rogue devil who had been refined into a living puppet by the Morning Ancestor puppet string. The Morning Ancestor was the ancestral emperor of the Northern Heaven. His puppet string was extremely powerful. With just this string, Ningfan was able to subdue the rogue devil. Even though the rogue devil had already been subdued, the process was not perfect. The rogue devil was also considered a ferocious being. When he was in danger, he risked everything and forcefully created a crack on the Morning Ancestor puppet string. He was a living puppet which retained his consciousness. He was unwilling to become Ningfan's puppet. Ning Fan could only control the rogue devil's body, like controlling a marionette. Besides, he had to borrow the power of the Morning Ancestor puppet string to make the rogue devil temporarily submit to him. Every time the puppet string was activated, the scattered devil would submit once, and the cracks on the puppet string would increase a little. Once the cracks reached a certain level, the puppet strings would break. At that time, the rogue devil would break free from the restraint of the puppet strings and devour him. 3 times Ning Fan frowned. According to his estimation, the rogue devil could only help him 3 times at most. Then it would break the puppet strings and break free from his control. He looked at the devil kneeling in front of him. When their gazes met, he seemed to be able to hear the devil's sinister laughter in the depths of his heart. Junior, if I can break free from the puppet strings one day, I will definitely tear you to pieces. Ning Fan's eyes flickered. He kept the rogue devil into the devil's sealing pouch and muttered to himself, I won't give you the chance to devour me. If there was a problem with the puppet string, the loose devil could only use it 3 times at most. In the future, unless it is a critical moment, he would try his best not to use the rogue devil. Although the loose demon can only be used 3 times, it is enough to become one of my trump cards. With the loose demon here, even if the 3 worlds sect really does attack me, I will not be afraid. I have stayed in the tree world for long enough. It's about time for me to return to the rain world. Ning Fan waved his sleeve and summoned Ting Xianrou and Qing Dai from the cauldron world and the umbrella world respectively. Ting Xianrou greets my lord. Qing Dai greets your majesty tree sovereign. As soon as Qing Dai saw Ning Fan, she immediately bowed respectfully. Her eyes were filled with gratitude when she looked at Ning Fan. She was grateful to Ning Fan for killing Wan Changkong and avenging the Nether Luo clan. When she addressed him as tree sovereign, her tone was 90% respectful, and there was also an indescribable feeling. Ting Xianrou's eyes were filled with respect when she looked at Ning Fan. Ning Fan did not hide the death of the Vine Sovereign and Wan Changkong from her. He had already told her everything. When she thought about how even the Vine Sovereign and Wan Changkong, who were formidable figures in the tree world, died in Ning Fan's hands, Ting Xianrou's palms became sweaty. She secretly studied Ning Fan's facial features. She still found it hard to believe that this seemingly ordinary young man in front of her was actually so strong. Am I good looking? Ning Fan teased Ting Xianrou. I didn't even look at you. How would I know? Ting Xianrou shifted her gaze away while saying good looking inwardly. All of a sudden, Ting Xianrou recalled the past when she dual cultivated with Ning Fan's sea of consciousness. Her cheeks immediately turned as red as fire. The reason why I called you out today is because I have something to tell you. I am a cultivator of the Rain World. My real name is Ning Fan. I will be returning to the Rain World soon. Ning Fan said smilingly. So Lord Tree Sovereign's surname is Ning. Qing Dai seemed to have thought of something and her face turned slightly red. So you are a cultivator of the Rain World. Ting Xianrou nodded. She had long been curious since when did someone like Ning Fan appear in the tree world. So he came from the Rain World. Suddenly, as if she thought of something, Ting Xianrou stared at Ning Fan in disbelief and stammered. Could it be that you are Su Yi of the Rain World? Oh, you have heard of the name of my Rain World? Ning Fan was slightly surprised. I have heard a little about it. Ting Xianrou stammered. The news of the Rain World's Pill Sovereign attaining the 7th Revolution Pill Refinement Realm had spread far and wide. Almost every Void Fragmentation Realm cultivator in the 9 worlds knew about it. The Vine Sovereign had carefully investigated the Pill Sovereign's background and found out that the Pill Sovereign did not have anyone close to him. He only had a junior whom he regarded as his disciple, Marquis White Robe of the Rain World. The Vine Sovereign had once jokingly told the cultivators of the Vine Palace that if they need the Pill Sovereign to concoct pills for them one day, but the Pill Sovereign refuses to comply, they could capture this junior of the Pill Sovereign and use him to threaten the Pill Sovereign. After all, Su Yi of the Rain World was just a Void Refinement Realm cultivator. Naturally, he would not be taken seriously by a big shot like the Vine Sovereign. Who would have thought that the North Tree Sovereign who shook the entire tree world was actually the unknown Marquis White Robe of the Rain World? However, there was one thing that Ting Xianrou did not understand. Why did Ning Fan tell her all these things? Ning Fan answered with a smile, as if he could see through her thoughts with just a glance. I don't have the habit of lying to my own people. Alright, it's time to return to the rain world. You two don't need to show yourselves on the way. I will open the passage to the rain world by myself. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and summoned the two ladies into his cauldron world and umbrella world. As his cultivation base improved, he could already read the thoughts of void fragmentation realm female cultivators using the mind-reading technique. Qing Dai returned to the umbrella world. Her face was still slightly flushed. From Ning Fan's words, she knew that he regarded her as one of his own. Thus, he did not hide anything from her, which made her feel happy. Tung Xianro, on the other hand, let out a sigh with mixed feelings. One of our own. It was very strange. After knowing that she was about to leave the tree world, she actually did not feel as reluctant as she expected. On the contrary, she actually looked forward to following Ning Fan to the rain world. Her current identity was Ning Fan's slave. To her surprise, she realized that she was gradually getting used to this identity. Such an identity seemed to be more relaxing and happier than the identity of the palace lord of the Purple Vine Palace. After summoning the two ladies back, Ning Fan took out the jade slip of the rain gate that the rain sovereign gave him, and performed a technique to open the passage to the rain world. It was not an easy task to open the rain gate that connected the two worlds. Ning Fan was not an expert at the level of the Vine Sovereign or Old Monster Tian Fei. Even if he had the jade slip with him, he could not open the passage to the rain world with just a wave of his hand. When he came to the tree world from the rain world, Ning Fan spent a month to open the passage to the rain gate that connected the two worlds. Now that he had returned, his strength had improved tremendously. He would need at most 7 days to open the rain gate. Day after day, the rain gate took shape bit by bit, and the passage to the rain world opened bit by bit. However, Ning Fan's heart began to feel uneasy. 7 days later, the rain gate appeared. At the peak of the tree mountain, a gigantic heavenly green light gate slowly opened. Ning Fan stood in front of the light gate and looked around with a thoughtful expression. As soon as the gigantic rain gate appeared, the uneasiness in Ning Fan's heart gradually increased. He did not say much. With a flash of his body, he stepped into the passage. The moment he stepped into it, the light gate gradually closed and disappeared. The passage stretched across the hollow space and was surrounded by the heavenly green light. It led directly to the rain world. If he continues on this path, he would be able to return to the middle province of the rain world. Ning Fan turned into a ray of traveling light and sped towards the rain world. He had been traveling for 5 consecutive days, and he had already covered more than half of the distance. On the 6th day, a massive spatial fluctuation suddenly appeared in front and behind of the passage. 2 gigantic gates suddenly appeared in front of Ning Fan, blocking all of his paths of retreat. One of the 2 gates was the Golden Gate while the other was the Whitebone Gate. The Golden Gate was at the back while the Whitebone Gate was at the front. A ray of red light flew out from the Golden Gate and landed on the ground, turning into an old monster with red feathers. He was none other than Old Monster Tian Qian of the Three World Sect. 4 old men shrouded in black mist walked out from the ancient gate. Each of them had a cultivation base at the 3rd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. The robes of these 4 old men were embroidered with the same pattern. Ning Fan had seen this pattern once before. When he was in the Endless Sea in the past, he was once hunted by Dao Yan. That Dao Yan had this pattern on his body. It was the identification of the cultivators of the Nirvana Palace in the Devil World. Ning Fan's cold eyes swept across Old Monster Tian Qian and the 4 old men shrouded in black mist. His killing intent surged. He had guessed that the Three Worlds sect would come to deal with him. However, he did not expect that Moksha Sovereign's men would also ambush him here. The 4 old men shrouded in black mist were none other than the 4 devil elders under Moksha Sovereign. When Ning Fan's gaze swept across them, Old Monster Tian Qian and the 4 old men shrouded in black mist took 3 steps back. They took out their magic treasures and stared at Ning Fan coldly, as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Even though Ning Fan was not a void fragmentation realm cultivator yet, the fact that he could even kill the Vine Sovereign was enough for Tian Qian and the 4 devil elders to view him as a tiger. Liu Bei, no. I should call you Su Yi of the Rain World. Ning Fan. My 3 worlds sect has already joined hands with the Nirvana Palace of the Devil World. Now all of our experts have come out. Even if you have the protection of your 5 broken spiritual pets, you will certainly die in this endless world. Old Monster Tian Qian sneered and clapped his hands. Suddenly, 6 to 7 light doors appeared in all directions and thousands of assassins emerged from them. Among them, the weakest ones were Divine Transformation Realm cultivators. There were more than 200 Void Refinement Realm cultivators, and more than 10 Void Fragmentation Realm old monsters. This was an assassination that had been planned for a long time. The assassins that were sent out were all elites. If they were not elites, how could they deal with Ning Fan? Ning Fan could even kill the Vine Sovereign. To an expert at his level, cultivators below the Divine Transformation Realm did not even have the right to stand beside him with a clear mind. Kill. As soon as Old Monster Tian Qian gave the order, 1,000 Divine Transformation Realm kamikaze warriors immediately formed hand seals. Each of them was shrouded in blood-red light and charged at Ning Fan. When they were 10,000 zhang away from Ning Fan, they activated their magic arts and self-detonated their bodies. The magic technique that these 1,000 Divine Transformation Realm cultivators used was called the Blood Loss technique. It was a type of suicidal magic technique. When early Divine Transformation Realm cultivators used the Blood Loss technique to self-detonate, even late Divine Transformation Realm cultivators might die from the explosion. 1,000 Divine Transformation Realm cultivators directly self-detonated without any fear of death. When 1,000 Divine Transformation Realm cultivators used the Blood Loss technique at the same time, the sky was filled with blood-red light that could even blast a first Heavenly Layer Void Fragmentation Realm cultivator to death. At the moment when 1,000 of them self-detonated, the remaining Divine Transformation Realm cultivators stood in their respective formations and formed the ultimate killing formation. 200 Void Refinement Realm cultivators, whether they were from the 3 Worlds sect or the Nirvana Palace, each of them was a top-notch assassin. They also formed the second layer of the ultimate killing formation. Including Old Monster Tian Qian and the 4 Devil Elders, there were a total of 17 Void Fragmentation Realm old monsters in this place. 8 of them broke the first layer, 4 of them broke the second layer, 4 of them broke the third layer, and 1 of them broke the 5th layer. The 17 Void Fragmentation Realm old monsters did not attack on their own. Instead, they worked together and formed the 3rd layer of the ultimate killing formation. With the combination of the 3 layers of the ultimate killing formation, even a 6th or 7th Heavenly Layer Void Fragmentation Realm old monster would not be able to escape death. Facing the joint attack of the group of cultivators, Ning Fan did not hesitate at all. He took a step forward and turned into black robes. Then he raised his hand and drew out the Earth Void Soul. Sovereign Qi rose around his body. His magic power was already comparable to an old monster at the first heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm. After displaying the Incarnation Technique and the Soul Extraction Technique, his magic power was comparable to a second heavenly layer Void Fragmentation Realm cultivator. He lifted one of his fingers and the hollow space in all directions shattered. 1,000,000 small void swords swept across the vast sky, shattering all the blood-red light that was produced by the self-detonation of 1,000 Divine Transformation Realm cultivators. At the same time, Ning Fan turned into a trace of purple golden wind and mist, drifting towards the outside of the 3 layers of the ultimate killing formation. The first layer of the formation that was guarded by 3,000 Divine Transformation Realm cultivators was immediately eroded. The second layer of the formation that was guarded by 200 Void Refinement Realm cultivators only lasted for half a breath's time before it turned into ashes. Ning Fan appeared in front of the 3rd layer of the formation. He pressed one of his fingers and a trace of purple golden wind and mist coiled around his finger. The 3rd layer of the formation was guarded by 17 Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators. However, as Ning Fan pointed his finger at it, the 17 Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators simultaneously felt that the grand formation was showing signs of collapsing. Even though the 17 of them acted at the same time and suppressed the collapse of the formation, All of their magic power was being consumed rapidly to maintain the formation from being extinguished. The 17 of them were at a disadvantage when they tried to kill Ning Fan with the formation. Purple light flashed in Ning Fan's eyes. He flicked his finger repeatedly and the golden purple wind and mist burst out. The third layer of the formation immediately turned into ashes and disappeared. Even though none of the 17 void fragmentation realm cultivators were injured, they were forced to take a few steps back by the formation breaking force. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. If Ning Fan broke the formation using the 5 evil separation technique, they would not be surprised. However, Ning Fan actually used a strange golden purple wind and mist to break the 3 layers of the formation. It really made these old monsters feel a little incredulous. Ning Fan took a deep breath. He knew that with his current strength, he still could not fight against so many void fragmentation realm old monsters. He shook his cauldron ring. With a flash of light, a gigantic purple-eyed peacock slowly appeared under Ning Fan's feet. It was none other than the Purple Eyes evil separation technique. He flicked his sleeve again and 600 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets that were standing in midair immediately appeared in the sky. Tung Xianro and the 5 evil spirits of the heavenly tribulation appeared one after another. Emperor Xia's sword then appeared in Ning Fan's right hand. Zili, go and kill those few people. Leave the rest to me. Ning Fan leaped down from evil separation technique's head and pointed his sword at old monster Tianqian and the 4 devil elders. Shriek. The Purple Eyes evil separation technique chirped obediently. She flapped her wings and a strong demonic wind blew away all the cultivators who were blocking her way. She dashed straight into the battle between old monster Tianqian and the 4 devil elders. Tianqian and the 4 devil elders immediately reacted, as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Tianqian and the others knew that this evil separation technique was most likely the culprit who killed the Vine Sovereign. Even though the outside world had heard rumors that Ning Fan had killed the Vine Sovereign, they also knew that Ning Fan relied on the 5 evil separation technique to kill the Vine Sovereign. The strength of Ning Fan's true body had yet to reach the void fragmentation realm. It was far from enough to fight against the Vine Sovereign. However, the strength of the 5 evil separation technique was not even comparable to an ordinary 6 evil separation technique cultivator. If everyone can help me subdue this evil separation technique, I will definitely reward you handsomely. Old monster Tianqian laughed heartily. His attitude towards capturing and devouring this evil separation technique was firm. All right. The 4 devil elders agreed without hesitation. They did not go to kill Ning Fan. Killing the evil separation technique was their priority. The 600 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets went on a frenzied killing spree among the divine transformation realm and void refinement realm cultivators. Tung Xianro and the heavenly tribulation 5 evil separation technique cultivators fought against the 8 evil separation technique cultivators. Relying on the strength of the 5 evil separation technique cultivators, they were actually on par with each other. Ning Fan was dressed in black robes. His black hair danced wildly in the wind. Holding Emperor Xia's sword in his hand, he dashed towards the 4 evil separation technique cultivators. Among the 4 evil separation technique cultivators, 3 of them were cultivators of the 3 Worlds sect, and 1 of them was a cultivator of the Nirvana Palace. The cultivator of the Nirvana Palace who was at the 2nd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm was called Yen Sovereign. Even though his cultivation level was not as high as the 4 devil elders of the Nirvana Palace, his innate potential was much higher than theirs. This person had already cultivated a trace of sovereign qi when he was at the void fragmentation realm. After that, he was heavily nurtured by the Nirvana Palace. This person had a nephew whose name was Dao Yan. He was the devil general who was sent to assassinate Ning Fan in the past. Emperor Yan had already learned from Moksha Sovereign that Ning Fan was probably the one who killed Dao Yan. When Emperor Yan saw Ning Fan charging at him with a sword in his hand, killing intent flashed across his eyes. In a flash, he left the 3 void fragmentation realm cultivators of the 3 Worlds sect and raised his palm to strike at Ning Fan from afar. No one is allowed to interfere. I want to kill this brat myself. It doesn't matter. We don't need to do anything at all. With Emperor Yan's help, this brat will die for sure. The three void fragmentation realm cultivators of the three worlds sect looked at Ningfan with disdain. What they were afraid of was the five evil separation technique, not Ningfan, who was merely a Gui Yuan Taishu stage cultivator. As soon as Emperor Yan struck him with his palm, black mist immediately spread across the world passage and turned into a gigantic black turtle. It opened its gigantic mouth and swallowed Ningfan into its abdomen. As soon as he was swallowed by the gigantic turtle, Ningfan immediately lost control of his mind and fell into layers of illusions. However, when Ningfan punched his chest and blood trickled out from the corner of his mouth, those illusions immediately dissipated. For a ruthless and decisive cultivator with a heart of stone, illusions were nothing to be afraid of. When Sovereign Yan saw that his illusion technique was broken, he let out a cold harumph. He patted his storage pouch and prepared to use his natal magic treasure to attack Ningfan. Ningfan, however, did not give the Yan sovereign the chance to do so. He raised his hand and summoned a silver lightning bead. It was a crystalline pearl with a dragon-shaped bolt of silver lightning sealed within it. As soon as it rose into the air, it immediately transformed into a flash of silver light that struck toward Emperor Yan's chest. Sovereign Yan harumphed coldly. It did not pay much attention to this small silver bead. It only knew that it was a mortal void magic treasure. The expressions of the three void fragmentation realm experts of the three worlds sect greatly changed. They recognized that silver pearl. This was a secret magical treasure of the three realms sect. It was called the Thunder Pulse, and only the sect leader knew how to make it. Each Thundershock seed could only be used once. Once it was used, even a cultivator at the second heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm could be killed instantly. The three of them wanted to help Emperor Yan, but they didn't dare to help Emperor Yan block Leijianzi, so they could only warn him anxiously. Emperor Yan, watch out! That thunder pearl was powerful. Retreat quickly. What did you say? Emperor Yan had just taken out a red brush magic treasure. Before he could display his ability, he heard the warning of the three void fragmentation realm experts and asked in confusion. Before he could finish his question, that Leijianzi had already reached a distance of 100 zhang away, giving off destructive lightning might. It was only at this moment that Emperor Yan sensed the danger of certain death from the Leijianzi. In great shock, he quickly summoned his red brush magic treasure and retreated. That red brush magic treasure was also considered as a rather impressive magic treasure. However, it was actually turned into dust after being struck by the Leijianzi. What kind of pearl is this? Its power is actually so terrifying. Emperor Yan used a void teleportation and directly escaped 2 million li away. However, that Leijianzi traveled across the distance of 2 million li in the blink of an eye and exploded on Emperor Yan's chest. The treasured pearl was shattered and the lightning dragon exploded. Emperor Yan was immediately engulfed by a sea of lightning. He let out a miserable shriek and died within the sea of lightning. As soon as Emperor Yan died, Ningfan approached them with his sword. He raised his hand and summoned another 3 silver lightning pearls, attacking the 3 void fragmentation realm experts of the three world sect. Having learned their lesson from what happened to Emperor Yan, how would the 3 of them dare to resist the lightning pearls? While summoning their defensive magic treasures, they retreated in different directions. Why does this young man have so many Leijianzi? The 3 of them were terrified. They did not have much confidence in blocking the Leijianzi. Leijianzi was too famous. He could even kill a second void fragmentation realm cultivator in an instant. From their point of view, even if they use all their magic treasures, they might not necessarily be able to block the destructive power of the Leijianzi. However, what they did not expect was that their defensive magic treasures easily blocked the attacks of the 3 lightning pearls without any effort. It's fake. This isn't the Leijianzi. The 3 old monsters were a little angry from embarrassment. They were deceived by Ningfan. The 3 lightning pearls that he shot out this time were not Leijianzi. They were just ordinary pearls that contained some lightning power. The 3 dignified second heavenly layer void fragmentation realm old monsters were actually frightened by 3 ordinary pearls and fled in panic. It could be said that they had lost all their dignity. Just as the three of them were about to kill Ning Fan to vent their anger, they suddenly realized that Ning Fan had already disappeared without a trace. They focused on defending against the fake Leijianzi. Thus, they naturally did not notice that Ning Fan had immediately used the flowing light ring to conceal himself after summoning the three fake Leijianzi. The flowing light ring was a mid-grade profound divinity spiritual equipment that could make one invisible. Once the owner of this item becomes invisible, even a fifth heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator would not be able to detect where he is hiding. Before the three of them could find Ning Fan's whereabouts, a ray of light suddenly flashed behind one of them, and the figure of a young man in black robes appeared. The young man held the golden sword in his hand. Without saying a word, he directly swung the sword at the old monster's head. With just a single slash, the old monster was split into two halves. With a flick of the sword light, the primordial spirit of the old monster was picked out and swallowed into his stomach. Then he took away his storage pouch. There are two left. Ning Fan took a step forward and concealed himself again. The two void fragmentation realm old monsters immediately felt their scalps go numb. Ning Fan had already used all his trump cards in just a single encounter and killed two void fragmentation realm old monsters in a row. It was really a little scary. At this moment, if they still treat Ning Fan as an ant of the absolute void stage, they would really have lived for tens of thousands of years in vain. The two of them gathered together and no longer dared to take even half a step away from each other. One of them held a magic treasure to defend against Ning Fan's sudden attacks. The other one displayed a secret technique to break Ning Fan's invisibility, trying to break his concealment. Just as the two of them were carefully searching for Ning Fan's whereabouts, they suddenly heard a miserable scream coming from the battle of the void fragmentation realm. Ning Fan suddenly appeared in the battle of the void fragmentation realm cultivators. He raised his hand and swung his sword, killing an old monster of the Nirvana Palace who was at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, and devouring his primordial spirit. The third one. Ning Fan's magic power was much stronger than before. He had only used 1/3 of his magic power to make 2 consecutive slashes. He raised his hand and summoned the Emperor Xia sword. Then he activated the flying sword technique, causing the sword to split into 3 golden sword shadows and swept across the sky. Immediately, he took the lives of 3 void fragmentation realm cultivators. The 6th one. Ning Fan had already used up more than half of his magic power to kill 6 void fragmentation realm cultivators in a row. The remaining 5 void fragmentation realm old monsters looked at Ning Fan as if they were looking at a ghost. Their eyes were filled with fear. Who would have thought that Ning Fan would be able to kill 6 void fragmentation realm old monsters in a short period of time, even without Nie Li's help? However, even after killing 6 of them, the uneasiness in Ning Fan's heart did not reduce at all. Not only did it not reduce, but it was also increasing rapidly. When that uneasiness reached its peak, a gigantic door of light suddenly appeared in the sky. 2 figures slowly walked out of the door. One of them was a middle-aged man in black armor, while the other one was an elderly man in golden robes. Without a doubt, the middle-aged man in black armor was Moksha's sovereign, while the elderly man in golden robes was the sect master of the 3 worlds. The two of them were not slow in showing themselves. However, when they saw the situation of the battlefield and realized that 6 void fragmentation realm cultivators on their side had already died, their expressions turned grim. Han Yetian. The moment Ning Fan saw the middle-aged man in black armor, the killing intent in his eyes intensified. Seeing the killing intent in Ning Fan's eyes, Moksha's sovereign made up his mind to kill Ning Fan today, even though he did not say it out loud. Let's act according to the original plan. Sect Master will kill Nie Li while I will kill Ning Fan. Moksha's sovereign said coldly. All right. Spatial vortex technique. The sect master of the 3 worlds waved his hand. A gigantic golden vortex suddenly appeared on the world passage, sucking Ning Fan and Moksha's sovereign into it. Not good. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. At this moment, he was not worried about himself but Nie Li and Ting Xianro who were in the outside world. Chapter 611. The spatial vortex technique was the proud technique of the past sect masters of the three worlds. It directly sealed Ningfan and Moksha Sovereign into a golden world. The reason why Moksha Sovereign was sealed inside, it was just to give Moksha Sovereign a chance to kill Ningfan personally. In the golden world, Ningfan and Moksha Sovereign were facing each other on a golden continent. Ningfan's eyes were filled with unimaginable coldness. His enemy was right in front of him, and that was the motivation for him to fight day and night. Moksha Sovereign's figure, which was once unreachable, had always been Ningfan's goal and imaginary enemy. He raised Emperor Xia's sword and pointed it at Moksha Emperor. His killing intent had already reached its peak. However, a moment later, his gaze towards Moksha Emperor suddenly revealed a hint of disappointment. Is it just a divine clone? Ningfan gradually realized that the Moksha Sovereign in front of him was not his true body. Instead, it was an existence similar to his clone. Oh, your eyesight isn't bad, but this isn't my avatar, it's one of the three nirvana bodies. All three bodies are the Emperor, and there is no distinction between them. Only when all three bodies are destroyed will the Emperor fall. This is my current body. Moksha Sovereign squinted his eyes, emitting a dangerous aura. Three nirvanic bodies. My current body. Only when all three of my bodies are destroyed will I fall. Ningfan's eyes glinted with cold light again, and said indifferently. In other words, killing this body of yours isn't a useless move. Instead, it's very meaningful, right? Ha ha ha. Moksha Sovereign laughed out loud as if he had heard something funny. He cultivated the nirvana devil veins and cultivated three nirvana bodies. If all three bodies died, he would truly die. This body was one of the three. If it died, it would never be able to recover. If all three bodies were destroyed, Moksha Sovereign's existence would be erased. If Ningfan could kill his current body, it would certainly cause him great harm. Unfortunately, Moksha Sovereign did not think that Ningfan had the ability to do so at all. A mere Guyuan Taishu, no matter how heaven-defying he was, would not be a match for him. Ningfan, I'm really surprised. It has only been 50 years or so, and you've actually managed to reach this stage. Just what kind of heavenly treasure did Han Yuanji leave behind for you to allow you to cultivate so quickly? This emperor is really envious. Han Yuanji is still so biased. Moksha Sovereign's idea seemed reasonable, but in reality it was ridiculous. In his opinion, Ningfan's fast cultivation speed was naturally because of the old monster's all-out help. Unbeknownst to him, the old monster had never given Ningfan's any help. He didn't teach Ningfan's profound techniques, nor did he give Ningfan's high-ranked Dao fruits or pills. He only did one thing, and that was to teach Ningfan's the true evil Dao. When Ningfan heard Moksha Sovereign mentioning his master, his eyes turned cold. He did not want to talk to Moksha Sovereign anymore. His biggest regret today was that the three bodies of Moksha Sovereign were not complete. Otherwise, he would have died here. No matter what, Moksha Sovereign was one of his three bodies. Ningfan would certainly make one of them die here. Moksha Sovereign's eyes turned cold. With a sway of his body, he transformed into a 10,000 feet tall black-armored giant. It was exactly the appearance he had when he descended to Yu country. The black-armored giant raised his finger and sneered. Junior, if you didn't possess the sword chi gifted by the godly Void Pavilion back then, do you think you could hurt this emperor? You are just an ant. Void technique, white bone finger. The black-armored giant pointed his finger. Devil flame soared into the sky, condensing into a burning white bone finger that stretched for 100 li. In the past, Ningfan had used the sword ancestor's sword chi to break this finger. At that time, he could not even withstand the chi of this finger. Even now, he still could not completely resist the destructive power of this finger. However, it was absolutely impossible for him to yield to this finger. This white bone finger was born from fire. The only thing that Ningfan could think of to break this fire was the steel of sun and moon. He kept Emperor Xia's sword and activated the yin-yang locket. Then he raised his hand and summoned the shadow of a giant steel. The shadow of the steel divided into 10, and then into 100. In an instant, it turned into a giant shadow of the sun and moon. It rose up against the heavens and collided with the giant white bone finger. With Ningfan's current cultivation base, It was difficult for him to withstand the attack of the 5 sovereigns. However, by relying on the steel of Sun and Moon's ability to restrain fire, and his current second heavenly layer void fragmentation realm magic power, he was able to withstand the attack of Moksha Sovereign's fire finger. Under the bombardment of the Sun and Moon, the white bone fire finger gradually extinguished and eventually disappeared without a trace. Moksha Sovereign's eyes turned gloomy. He would not be mistaken. Ning Fan had accurately blocked his attack with his own ability. He has yet to attain the void fragmentation realm, but he managed to block my attack. Han Yuanji is really biased. He actually imparted such a powerful fire restraining ability to him instead of me. Moksha Sovereign's killing intent intensified as jealousy rose in his heart. He bit his finger bone and summoned 100,000 gold core realm devil soldiers with a wave of his finger. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with disdain. He also bit his finger bone and summoned 6 million devil soldiers with a wave of his finger. The devil soldiers of both parties engaged in a fierce battle. In just an instant, Ning Fan's devil soldiers annihilated all of the 100,000 devil soldiers summoned by Moksha Sovereign. How is this possible? Not only have you mastered the weapon refining technique of crushing bones, but you can also use this technique to such a perfect level. It must be Han Yuanji who taught you this technique. It must be him. Moksha Sovereign was indeed hopeless. In his eyes, the White Devil Sect and the Black Devil Sect were the strongest forces, while the Old Devil and the Sect Master of the White Devil Sect were peerless experts. Their abilities were the strongest magic techniques in the world. Moksha Sovereign, on the other hand, did not know that Ning Fan's steel technique of Sun and Moon was the divine ability of Great Emperor Ancient Chaos. As for the weapon transformation technique, he learned it from Immortal Emperor Emo Zhong. The old monster had never been biased towards Ning Fan. It was Moksha Sovereign himself who couldn't figure it out. Moksha Sovereign's expression turned even colder. This time, he was going to be serious. He wouldn't go easy on Qin Wentian anymore. He exited his giant form and turned back into the black-clothed middle-aged man. He bent his palm, and wisps of extremely strange gray gas immediately appeared in the center of his palm, swirling around it. With every rotation of the gray gas, the surrounding air became colder. This was an ice supernatural ability that came from the White Demon Sect. Its name was the Revolving Will Technique. The gray energy rotated, it could reflect all attacks, and it had the power to tear apart the 5 emperors. This is the Revolving Will Technique. It has a total of 18 levels, and I have already cultivated it to the 14th level. The 6-will art could instantly kill 3, the 9-will art could instantly kill 4, and the 12-will art could instantly kill 5. You can't take this art. Yes, I can't take it. Ning Fan didn't show any dispirited expression. If he couldn't take it, then he couldn't. This was one of Moksha Sovereign's strongest abilities. Naturally, it was very powerful. Ning Fan didn't have the same cultivation level as Moksha Sovereign yet, so it wasn't strange that he couldn't take it. However, it didn't mean that no one could. If the righteous path couldn't be taken, then it would be taken. If the tough path couldn't be taken, then it would be soft. If the yang path couldn't be taken, then it would be yin. What this old man imparted to Ning Fan wasn't the Tao of cultivation, but the Tao of devil. As a devil cultivator, even if his cultivation level was lower than others, he might not necessarily lose. 12-wheel art. Moksha Sovereign pointed his finger. Countless wisps of gray qi coiled towards Ning Fan like dragons, with a radius of 10,000 zhang. They revolved violently around Ning Fan, forming gray rings that trapped Ning Fan within. A total of 12 gray rings trapped Ning Fan within. The tearing wind formed by the 12 gray rings was enough to tear Ning Fan into pieces. Within 3 breaths, you will die without a doubt. You are just an ant after all. Moksha Sovereign laughed heartily, feeling very pleased. However, Ning Fan didn't die. He pressed his palm on the devil sealing pouch, and his eyes gradually became resolute. A rogue devil can only be used 3 times. Today is the first time. Devil appear. He opened the devil sealing pouch, and a monstrous devil mist immediately soared into the sky. Under this devil mist, even a devil sovereign like Moksha Sovereign felt his heart palpitate. As soon as the devil creature was released, it immediately turned into the appearance of a giant with 2 horns. Without saying a word, it threw 3 consecutive punches. The first punch shattered Moksha Sovereign's 12 layers of revolving wheels. The second punch directly turned Moksha Sovereign's current body into dust. The third punch shattered all the seals of the entire golden world. Rogue. Rogue devil. Impossible. Moksha Sovereign's eyes widened. He couldn't believe that his physical body would be smashed into pieces. He couldn't believe that a mere ant like Ningfan could actually subdue a rogue devil to help him. If he knew that Ningfan had this rogue devil to protect him, he definitely wouldn't have recklessly sent it to chase after Ningfan. A trace of black primordial spirit escaped from Ningfan's physical body, desperately fleeing towards the outside of the golden world. How could Ningfan let this primordial spirit escape? He ordered the rogue devil coldly. Capture it. Yes, the rogue devil answered reluctantly. With a flash of traveling light, he reached out his hand and caught Moksha Sovereign's primordial spirit, handing it over to Ningfan. Ningfan glanced at Moksha Sovereign's primordial spirit coldly and sealed it. Then he kept it in his storage pouch. He was prepared to slowly search his soul and memory later. I'm a little worried about Zili and Ro'er. I'm going to save them now. Ningfan leaped onto the rogue devil's shoulder and commanded him to walk towards the outside of the golden world with huge strides. One of Moksha Sovereign's 3 bodies was already dead. The 3 Realms sect was still his enemy today. Ningfan had already made up his mind. All the enemies who came to invade today must die on this world passage. In the outside world, time was rewound a little. After sealing Ningfan, the sect masters of the 3 realms scanned across the battlefield of the world passage and snorted coldly. The divine transformation realm cultivators they sent this time were almost all dead. The void refinement realm cultivators also suffered heavy losses. 30 to 40 of them had already died. The sect masters of the 3 realms glanced at the battlefield of the low-grade cultivators and frowned slightly. Ningfan's 600 Void Inquiry stage spiritual puppets are really brave and good at fighting. Compared to these spiritual puppets, the Divine Transformation Realm and Void Refinement Realm cultivators of the Nirvana Palace and the 3 realms sect were really vulnerable. With 600 Void Inquiry stage spiritual puppets leading the way, perhaps even an ordinary First Destruction Realm cultivator would not dare to face them head-on. Suppress. The sect master of the 3 realms flicked his sleeve. Countless golden characters flew out from his sleeve and landed on each of the Void Inquiry stage spiritual puppets. As soon as the golden characters hit the spiritual puppets, they immediately melted inside their bodies and sealed their magic power. In an instant, all 600 Void Inquiry stage spiritual puppets were sealed by the sect master of the 3 realms and kept away with a flick of his sleeve. The sect master of the 3 realms glanced at Tung Xianro and let out a cold snort. He did not put her in his eyes at all. When his gaze swept across the 5 puppets of the heavenly tribulation, he revealed a surprised expression. These are the puppets of the heavenly tribulation? That young man in plain robes is really an arrogant person. He even dares to capture the puppets of the heavenly tribulation. The sect master of the 3 realms chuckled. His eyes flashed with a hint of cold light. He raised his hand and sent out countless golden characters towards the 5 puppets of the heavenly tribulation. The power of the golden characters was extremely powerful. Even with the strength of the 5 puppets of the heavenly tribulation, they could not resist the power of the golden characters at all. Their power was directly sealed and they could not move at all. The sect master flicked his sleeve and kept all the 5 puppets of the heavenly tribulation. His eyes finally fell on Tung Xianro. You are my disciple's subordinate. So, you are also my subordinate. Betraying my disciple is the same as betraying me. His gaze shifted to Nieli and the coldness in his eyes became even colder. You are just an evil creature, but your cultivation base is not weak. I will take you in and make you my mount. The sect master of the 3 realms clapped his hands. His magic power condensed into a gigantic golden palm and slammed down on the purple-eyed Nieli. The purple-eyed Nieli was fighting against Tianqin and the others. When she saw the sect master of the 3 realms sneak attacking her all of a sudden, she was slightly angered. She spread her wings and a giant shadow of half of the Fuli spirit wheel immediately appeared in the sky above the passage. The spirit wheel produced a boundless suction force and sucked the golden palm imprint into the ring shadow. Soon after, the golden palm imprint exploded within the ring shadow of the spirit wheel, shattering the ring shadow. The purple-eyed Fuli screeched in pain. She suddenly realized that the sect master of the three realms was not easy to deal with. The sect master of the three realms was also slightly surprised. He was an old monster at the 8th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. However, he actually could not defeat a mere demon beast with just a single palm imprint. You are not weak, but that's all there is to it. Void technique, flowing gold barrier. The sect master of the three realms pointed his finger. Golden light flowed above the sky and condensed into a gigantic golden barrier, trapping the purple-eyed Nieli within. After being trapped within the golden barrier, the purple-eyed Nieli desperately tried to break it, but it was difficult for her to break it. She looked anxious. She wanted to break the golden barrier and find Ningfan, who was sucked into the whirlpool, to save him. However, no matter how hard she struggled, she could not escape from the golden barrier. Shriek! The purple-eyed Nieli let out a sharp cry of anger. The sect master of the three realms showed a hint of impatience. He pointed his finger at the flowing gold barrier and said coldly, "If you make any more noise, I will kill you, beast." As he pointed his finger, countless golden runes immediately appeared on the flowing gold barrier and hit the purple-eyed Nieli's body. Immediately, the purple-eyed Nieli let out a painful shriek. Tung Xianro bit her lips. Her heart was struggling. The sect master of the three realms first pointed out her crimes, but did not punish her. Instead, he punished the Nieli first. He was giving her a chance. Tung Xianro was the subordinate of the Vine Sovereign. She had more or less heard some rumors about the sect master of the three realms. It was said that the sect master of the three realms cultivated some kind of unique dual cultivation technique. He especially liked to pluck human cauldrons. Moreover, most of the human cauldrons that he plucked had died. Only a small number of women who consumed a secret life-saving medicine could survive. The cultivation technique of the sect master of the three realms was very unique. It required the women to cooperate with him willingly in order to achieve the greatest effect. Of course, forcefully plucking the human cauldrons also had great benefits. Tung Xianro was a woman. She was a void fragmentation realm woman. The reason why the sect master of the three realms did not punish Tung Xianro was because he wanted to give her a chance. As long as she offered herself to be his human cauldron, he would let her go. Tung Xianro did not want to die. She had personally witnessed the sect master of the three realms subduing the Nieli and sealing the group of demons with a wave of his hand. She knew that with her current strength, she could not even destroy a piece of his sleeve. If she goes against the sect master of the three realms, she would certainly die. If she agrees to become his human cauldron, she could still live for a few more days. If she is given a secret medicine, she might not die after being plucked. Why? Are you unwilling? The sect master's tone suddenly became cold. Tung Xianro bit her lips so hard that it bled. However, she did not beg for mercy in the end. Only then did she realize that there were some things that she could not compromise and submit to if she was unwilling to do so. She pondered for a while. If the person who threatened her was Ningfan, would she agree to become his human cauldron? Perhaps she would. Thinking of Ningfan, Tung Xianro's heart suddenly became chaotic. Today the sect master of the three realms had come personally. Ningfan had already been sealed in the spatial vortex technique. It was very likely that he would not be able to escape death. Will he die? When she thought of this possibility, her heart suddenly felt as if it was being torn apart. It was so painful that she could not breathe. Her thoughts became more and more chaotic. In the past, she was worried that Ningfan would die because she who was implanted with the slave imprint would die together with him. Today, she just could not bear to hear the news of Ningfan's death. He will die. If that is the case, I will die eventually. Why should I beg for mercy? Tung Xianro's heart suddenly calmed down. She no longer said anything and used her silence to reject the sect master's suggestion. The sect master's eyes turned gloomy. He had never thought that Tung Xianro would dare to reject his good intention. He had the purple sun physique, which was one of the 7 sun physiques. This was the reason why he needed Du had the scarlet sun physique, which was very useful to him. If the women he plucked did not consume any precious secret medicine, all of them would die. At first, he thought that Teng Xianro had some beauty and wanted to give her a secret medicine to keep her alive, so that he could slowly pluck her. Now that Teng Xianro was so stubborn, the sect master was inwardly furious. He decided to use the crudest method to capture her and pluck her directly. It was her fate to die. I will count to 3. If you don't obey me, you will definitely regret it. 1, 2. Before he could count to 3, a giant devil with 2 horns suddenly stepped on the golden vortex spatial technique and reappeared on the world passage. There was a black-robed young man standing on the shoulder of the devil. As soon as he appeared, he immediately rolled up his sleeves and wrapped Teng Xianro onto the giant's shoulder. Without saying anything, the giant devil raised his fist and punched at the sect master of the 3 realms. As soon as the punch was thrown, countless void vortexes were formed. Wherever the fist light passed, the cultivators of the Nirvana Hall and the 3 realms sect were all crushed into pieces. Rogue devil. Before the sect master of the 3 realms could react, his chest was already hit by the devil's punch. His spirit equipment and treasure armor were all shattered. He was forced to retreat 1,000 steps in the sky before he managed to stabilize himself. However, he was already coughing out blood. He stared at the giant devil in front of him in horror. This was a rogue devil that had once cultivated to the void fragmentation realm and above. Even though it was unknown why this rogue devil's cultivation base had dropped to the 8th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, it could even put up a fight against an ordinary 9th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm expert. The sect master of the 3 realms knew that he was definitely not a match for this rogue devil. His gaze shifted to Ningfan, who was standing on the devil's shoulder. His heart skipped a beat. Could it be that this rogue devil was summoned by Ningfan? This rogue devil came out from the sealed space of the spatial vortex spatial technique. Could it be that this rogue devil is related to Moksha Sovereign? Speaking of which, where did Moksha Sovereign go? Could he be dead? How could the sect master of the 3 realms know that this rogue devil was Ningfan's puppet who had been subdued by him? In the sect master's impression, those who have attained the rogue devil realm were either old monsters who were infamous in the devil world or people from the upper world. In any case, it was impossible for them to be ordinary people. Subduing a rogue devil as a slave in the great void of the lower world was like a fantasy. It was impossible for it to happen. Friend, I'm the sect master of the 3 realms sect in the heaven immortal world. Today's matter is a personal grudge between my sect and someone else. I hope that you won't interfere in this matter for the sake of my sect. If you leave now. Before the sect master of the 3 realms could finish his words, the rogue devil threw a second punch at him, sending him flying away. This time, the sect master of the 3 realms reacted quickly. He took out a magic treasure to protect himself, but he was still injured by the rogue devil's punch. He was burning with anger. Even if you are an elder figure in the devil world or a devil cultivator from the upper world, I will make you pay for hurting me today. Do you know that I also have a few rogue immortal friends in the heaven immortal world? Get lost. The rogue devil threw a third punch, sending the sect master of the 3 realms flying for the 3rd time. In terms of strength, the rogue devil was much stronger than the sect master of the 3 realms. The rogue devil threw a 4th punch, shattering the flowing gold barrier that was sealing Nieli and releasing him. Ningfan looked around. When he saw that Nieli's injuries were not light and Teng Xianro was almost in danger, his heart was filled with rage. When he saw that all the puppets were gone, he knew that they must have been taken away by the sect master of the 3 realms. Li Er, come back and rest. Ro Er, you come back too. Ningfan kept Teng Xianro and Nieli back. His eyes swept across the entire place like cold lightning, and he gave an order to the rogue devil. Leave no one alive. All the enemies who came to invade today must die. The eyelids of the sect master of the 3 realms twitched. He no longer had the arrogant demeanor he had before. He knew that he was not a match for the rogue devil. The only thing he could do now was to retreat from this place. He patted his storage pouch and took out a jade slip. He lifted his hand and crushed it. Immediately, a light gate appeared in the passage of the world. The sect master of the three realms stepped into it without hesitation, trying to escape. You want to leave? Can you? Did I say that you can? The rogue devil was furious and shattered the realm gate with a punch. The realm gate collapsed. The sect master of the three realms fell out while coughing out blood. He was shocked. This rogue devil is really powerful. He can even destroy the realm gate. With the interference of this rogue devil, none of us can open the realm gate and escape today. Cultivators of the Nirvana Hall and the Three Realms sect, listen to my command. Attack this devil together with me. The moment the sect master of the Three Realms sect uttered those words, he immediately regretted it. The rogue devil made a grabbing motion with his huge hand. Countless black devil chains shot out from his palm. They divided into billions of chains and pierced into the bodies of the cultivators of the Nirvana Hall and the Three Realms sect, instantly sucking them dry. Divine Transformation Realm and Void Refinement Realm cultivators were instantly killed. First Heavenly Layer and Second Heavenly Layer Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators were all killed instantly. Even though the four devil elders of the Nirvana Hall were not killed instantly, they were skewered like roasted meat by the rogue devil. Then, they were sealed by the devil chains and handed over to Ningfan. Old Monster Tian Hao's face turned green with fear. He had never seen such a powerful devil creature before. He turned around and tried to run, but his chest was penetrated by the devil chains. After being sealed, he was handed over to Ningfan. All the cultivators on the battlefield were annihilated by the rogue devil in just a single encounter. Not good. I'm far from being a match for this devil. Run now. The sect master of the Three Realms sect took out an ancient purple shuttle and leaped onto it. Go after him. As soon as Ningfan gave the order, the rogue devil burst into laughter and immediately chased after them with huge strides. The speed of the sect master of the Three Realms sect was not slow, but it was much slower than the rogue devil. Seeing that the rogue devil was chasing after them closely and obeying Ningfan's orders obediently, the sect master of the Three Realms sect's heart sank. He thought to himself, could this rogue devil be Ningfan's servant or something that only listens to Ningfan's orders? He gritted his teeth and removed the storage pouch that contained the 600 Void Inquiry Stage spiritual puppets and the 5 puppets of the Heavenly Tribulation. Then, he tossed it to the back and returned it to Ningfan. Little friend Ning, I have returned all the spiritual puppets that I have seized from you. Please give me a chance to live. Don't chase after me anymore. If you push me too far, you will surely regret it. Ningfan looked at the storage pouch that was flying towards him. He did not reach out to catch it but let the rogue devil catch it instead. His eyes flashed with coldness. He could tell that the storage pouch had been tampered with. The rogue devil bent his palm and caught the storage pouch. Immediately, some of the golden characters hidden on the pouch struck the rogue devil's palm. Even though the rogue devil's physical body was strong, it still left many bloody marks on his palm. You're courting death. The rogue devil was enraged and chased after Ningfan even faster. Ningfan kept the storage pouch and all the spiritual puppets. Then he stared coldly at the fleeing back of the sect master of the Three Realms. Indeed, one must not be careless when dealing with such an old monster. However, no matter what, the sect master of the Three Realms must die. He must not let him go back to the heaven immortal world. Why is he still chasing after me? The sect master of the Three Realms turned around and saw that the golden characters on the storage pouch did not hurt Ningfan at all. His eyes immediately turned grim. When he saw the furious expression on the rogue devil's face, he felt his scalp go numb. He took out a piece of golden sandalwood from his sleeve and his eyes turned gloomy. It seems like I won't be able to escape without paying a price. Humph. The sect master of the Three Realms took out a handful of thunder shock stones from his storage pouch and threw them to the back. He did not care whether they hit Ningfan or not. While the dust was rising from the back, the sect master of the Three Realms ignited a wisp of purple flames between his fingers, trying to ignite the golden sandalwood. The pained expression on his face was definitely not an act. This is the ancient divine incense. Once the golden incense is ignited, It will be extremely lethal to devil cultivators. It has a heaven-defying nourishing effect to profound cultivators. This item is extremely precious. It is a necessary item for my sect to break through to the next realm. Now, I might have to use it to eliminate the 2 devils behind me. The rogue devil is a devil, and that Ning fan is also a devil cultivator. Once this incense is ignited, the rogue devil will definitely be injured, and that Ning fan will definitely die. Burn. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.